sandals and shorts, and surf and scuba and sand and sailing and soccer. San Diego, California.
And welcome to Two Balls and a Mic, episode 233 episodes consecutively in a row in a beautiful southern San Diego garage. My name is Tony Sanchez, along with Alejandro El Chiva Villaseñor. We're going to go ahead and get down to it with some San Diego soccer sports talk. That's redundantly redundant. Soccer and sport are the genus, phylum. You have no idea what I'm talking about. Season's greetings to who's welcome, who is here today on a Monday. We're going to go ahead and get this started with the local soccer. San Diego Wave will have a game coming up back at Torero Stadium, the original home of soccer in San Diego in a professional setting. Unless you count that one game from 1904 in the Qualcomm Stadium for a couple months.
Season.
It counts. It counts. But we're going to go ahead and preview that as well as some of the internationals from San Diego Wave making their appearance in their friendlies, making their way over to the Olympics. Get to break down this interesting format with Abe Cepeda, with the summer tournament that Wave will be involved in, and rumors, confirmations, perhaps a French international making her way to San Diego. Parlez-vous français, omelette du fromage, je ne sais pas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're going to get into that. It's going to take a international spot to make that move. So we'll see who's going to come in, come out. We're also going to go ahead and touch a little bit on SDFC. Duran Farig is going international. Duran Watch is now international as well. We're going to go ahead and get into that, as well as the announcement of Las Visorías SDFC. If you are of age to try out for SDFC, go ahead and do it. You can do it. It's going to be maybe free. We'll see. In El Romero Manso Tijuana here in San Diego at Polo Field. Get into all that great discussion. Goals, gaps, and greats. We have a spectacular edition of that with some incredible stuff. We're also going to go ahead and lead that into a guest that we're going to go ahead and bring in for the first time in person. I want to say
First time in person.
We're looking at second time because maybe he was over there. I don't even know. They see this person and my family is quivering because of lack of sleep they're going to get because of the 6-hour pot. No, I'm kidding. It's not going to be 6 hours. Those are yes. We've had that makes three. That makes three. A gentleman who probably like to have a good evening stroll about their neighborhoods. Neighborhood being in the Midwest now. I don't know how much walking and treading.
Maybe some strolls in the snow.
Yeah. Steck strolls. Steck strolls. Drew Steck will join us to talk about Bridge Barkada and their achievements for El Juego Bonito, goals, gaps, and greats. Season's greetings, Midori Suzuki. Esteban making an appearance as well. Season's greetings. Firefighter, senor. Firefighter. Senor Trevor on fire. Playback Project always making that. Felices Fiestas. I really enjoy that.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really enjoy that. Just literal translation
It caught you
of
off guard
stuff.
the first time he said it.
It caught me off guard.
Like, oh shit, that's how you say it.
It gave me a good giggle. And it's not very difficult to do that, but at the end of the day, it's absolutely. Carl wants to talk about Hawaii. I want to talk about Hawaii. Very inside joke for a very specific podcast. I love Carl. Also member at Bridge Barkada. All right. So
there's a lot of soccer locally.
That
wasn't played on a professional field, but
correct.
There was still a lot of local soccer stuff that happened, right?
Correct. And we're going to go ahead and tackle that before we tackle Copa America and these credentials that were so earnestly earned through the hard work and probably could have gotten us killed yesterday. We're going to go ahead and talk to our friend and pal who worked with Fox Sports, Andres Jaime, who was out there. He actually did commentary with us for the San Diego Sockers in Spanish on a day. So we know the man, the myth, the legend.
Scored a goal at the halftime game.
He did score a goal and actually subbed in wearing Emo Brown's kit when Steve Garcia, who again still hasn't shown his face against me.
Always flakes.
I think especially now. Can you imagine now just knowing that I'm fitter?
No. You're slimmer, not fitter.
I'm fitter.
No, your energy's down.
I'm still faster than you. I've always been faster than you.
Yeah, but after like 20 steps, you die.
I am okay.
You're lucky I can't run right now.
Right now. Oh, sí, vato. Hey, you got bilingual listeners. Órale, 100%. We did do an episode in Spanish, just covering STFC. So we can go ahead and keep doing that. Let's do another one soon. As long as there's stuff to actually talk about.
Yes.
But there is interesting stuff to talk about. Saludos de la barra 18. Omar Baldovines making their appearance. El Toro Fuerte. As fuck, you are just making enemies. Let's see the race between you two. It's not much of a race.
We can't right now. So,
but all right. So, obviously, as we're mentioning, local stuff. There's no other person that is in the know, on the pulse, has their hands on what is really the lifeblood of soccer in San Diego, because that's what's happening right now with San Diego Wave. Our very own special correspondent, the number one journalist covering San Diego Wave, I'd say just period. We're going to bring him on in. Abe.
What's up, Abe?
Abe Cepeda.
Hello.
How are you?
How you guys doing? I'm doing all right. I got really heated earlier looking at the way the NWSL Summer Cup works. I did way too much research for the trivia segment we're about to do.
There's going to be a trivia segment, and I'm really scared.
What ticked you off? That it's 5 groups and 4 teams advanced?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. That makes no sense.
It absolutely does not make any sense. So out of 5 groups, Group A, B, C, D, and E.
Do you have graphics for that? Do you have a link for that, Abe or Chiba?
Let's just put a picture in the document.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that just again because, as we mentioned, Torero Stadium will be hosting San Diego Wave once again, as they did in their inaugural season for a couple of weeks, a couple of matches there, because then they moved over into Snapdragon Stadium. And then let's see if I can do this without the sound. It's not. It's gonna sound. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Click, click. And I mean, Torero Stadium has been special for soccer in San Diego for a plethora of reasons. Not how you pronounce that, but I'm gonna take it anyways. And that's and that's definitely, you know, a sacred grounds for soccer in San Diego. We got our start there with San Diego Loyal.
Mm-hmm.
We were just talking about how we're gonna discuss with the players that encounter the hill, that the players have to go down and up and down and up again.
Kind of miss that hill.
I do not miss that hill at Torero Stadium.
I mean, it's honestly, this game is gonna be kind of like a little emotional, right? It's gonna be pretty fun to finally be back at Torero for another pro soccer game. Tony, you're not gonna get to be in that game.
Mm-hmm.
You said the hill's too much, and you just don't want to do it again. I mean, that's all fair game. Abe will both be there for that game.
If the hills have eyes, Tony has thighs, and they're gonna burn if I keep going up and down. And that was actually pretty good.
That was really good.
That was incredibly well done by myself. Tap myself on the head. But again, we cover soccer here in San Diego. That's the primordial reason we're gonna go ahead and stick to this. You can keep that.
And here it is.
This is a very low HD screenshot of what we have here. This is Group A, B, C, D, and E. And this is exactly what you were mentioning. Of 5 group winners, top 4 with the most point advance to the semifinals.
Okay, so let's just say like all of these top teams all win all three of their matches. There's going to be a team that can be unbeaten that doesn't advance out of the group stage. Like, it's just such a bad setup for no reason.
Yeah, as we have all the HDs here now, it's not ideal, and that's just in general with any sort of tournaments, that there has to be some sort of gimmick to it apparently, and the rules are, whatever, they're going to be designed hopefully, because if I'm the tournament builders. I want this to be a successful, attractive a play tournament where the best matchups are going to happen, but there's parity as well. But how good would it be if the top teams end up making it, right?
Yeah.
And so it's a roundabout way to kind of going about this with the construction of that, Chiba.
I mean, ideally here, right? The way everybody's playing right now, the Liga MX family just started, but based off how they played last season, who are your ideal teams that would be going through, right? I mean, you look at Group A, and you have Portland, Seattle, Utah, Club Tijuana. Out of those, the strongest teams are Portland and Club Tijuana. Seattle's not really playing too well. Utah's not very good. And Club Tijuana, I mean, they tend to put up fights. Group B, you have Angel City, Wave, Bay FC, and Club America. The strongest team there is Club America. Yeah. They're the defending champions in Mexico. San Diego Wave is, I mean, as we all know, terrible Wave FC right now. Bay FC, not too good either. And Angel City can hold their own, but haven't had the great season or great couple years. Group C, yeah, Kansas City, who is probably one of the best teams in the NWSL right now. Houston Dash, Tigres, and Pachuca. Tigres and Pachuca, both great teams. Tigres probably one of the best teams in this tournament overall.
Honestly, I think that's the group of death for me.
It is for sure.
Hard.
Because
Houston's not bad right now either.
They're not bad, but I think Pachuca still. I think Houston, out of the 4 teams, Houston is probably the worst team in that group. I'm excited to see a Kansas City Tigres game. That's going to be very exciting to watch. And then Group D, you have Gotham, Washington Spirit, Chicago Red Stars, and Chivas. Chivas, who, I mean, believe it or not, they're not that bad in the women's side. Gotham, who have a talented roster. Washington Spirit, who's also playing good, and Chicago, who's also playing pretty good. So this is going to be very interesting. Group B, you have Orlando, North Carolina, Racing Louisville, and then Rayadas, who we all know, Berkey takes the lead there. So it's going to be exciting to get to see her play against some NWSL teams, a league that pretty much shut her out.
Yeah, no, and that's just the reality of things. That's the sad aspect of NWSL, where they're promoting the game in and out of the pitch, and then you have moves where you're sticking your nose up and saying, we're too good for a player like yourself or whoever the player is, and just look down on Liga MX. This is a great step in moving that forward. I'll go ahead and give that 100%. This is a step, but there's still that just underlying just grossness that it's like, oh, what's Liga MX team? Literally, the story last year that we kind of caught fire for your question, Chio, was Mia Official.
I asked Twyla, who was interim head coach, hey, like Mia Official was playing at this level for a while with Tigres. What took so long for her to get called up, and then got interrupted by the communications guy saying, hey, like, just to clarify, she wasn't playing at this level. She's playing in Tigres. This is the U.S. women's national team. So
fast forward 2 weeks. I mean, after, and she's killing in the Premier League,
100%.
like in Chelsea.
And then Mexico beats USA in the Women's Gold Cup, and they provided a pretty tough challenge for them this past weekend too.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah,
sure did.
Absolutely. And so, I mean, there's much more parity than we believe, but I do like the aspect of having these teams challenge each other. The last time San Diego Wave was involved in such a game was actually against Xolos Femenil, and this was behind closed doors where nobody got to see anything. And from what we understood, it was a pretty good matchup. It was a pretty good scrimmage, but it would have been really cool to see at least some sort of behind the scenes something for the region, for the aspect, for la cultura, for la raza. But anyways, that's something that is in the past. But moving forward,
the simple fix, just to real quick say it, it's 10 teams from the NWSL, 6 teams from Liga MX Femenil. Like, it could have just been that easy. You don't need Utah and Seattle and probably Bay FC or even the Wave at this point. That's who's the worst team that's playing right now. You could put them in their own relegation group, I guess, and then have the other teams fight it out for this top 4 spot.
And I get it, right? I get why these teams too, right? Utah Royals, they're coming in as a expansion team. Same thing with Bay FC. Interesting projects. Bay FC having some internationals that are coming in that are going to make their mark on the league, and we've seen flashes of that. But overall, like as you're mentioning, like a top team, Utah, no. Wave supposed to be no. So that's a give and take there, but overall, it's going to be a cool little wait and see aspect, and see maybe Utah surprises. And you know what? They're not built for the league. They're just built for a tournament style, and that's a reality of things, right? Like there's managers who are tournament managers. There are teams who are built to play in certain tournaments and certain styles, and they just win. We just saw it in the international stage with the Euros, right? England made it all the way to the final. Compare that to the unbeaten streak that Spain had, and you're looking at two different teams with two different stories, but eventually they made it to the same place in the championship, and that's just a story in soccer for the most part, where it's unpredictable. It's very cool, it's very interesting, but I don't think it was very fleshed out and thought through just exactly how these teams would go ahead and play. Now, this is the same thing with like Nations League. How I feel is this is a tournament that means absolutely nothing until it's made to be something. Nations League for the internationals, it's a friendly. It's a tournament of friendlies, and you get something at the end. But because there's vitriol, because there's that spice, it's starting to mean something. Even though Mexican fans are going to say no because we haven't won it, and that's the thing where it's like, well, obviously they don't care about it.
Doesn't matter until I win it.
I
mean, we also got to see if they're gonna run next season with this in the summer, right? There is no kind of like misses. There's no Olympics. There's no World Cup, so it'll be interesting to see if they still kind of come up with something for the summer, or just, I mean, they have the Conca Champions coming up as well, so. It'll be interesting to see if this is just kind of like a fill-in tournament, which, I mean, essentially it is. But, I mean, I hope to see more crossover for sure between NWSL and Liga MX, and it looks like we are going to have that. But this is kind of like a trial and error. Let's try this out. Let's see how it works. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, okay, let's try to tweak it. But it's going to be definitely very interesting to see. But I do agree, Abe. I don't like the layout of it. I don't like that it's 5 groups and then 4 teams advance. It kind of defeats the purpose of, okay, we can win all 3 of our games, but if we don't score enough goals like other teams, then we're still out.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to be very interesting.
We'll see. I believe it's going to be a fun tournament for sure.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
There'll be good games, but someone's going to be mad. Someone will be upset.
I do wish some of the playoffs, or at least the semifinal, would have been in San Diego. That would have been pretty cool. But I mean, I guess San Diego got all of its glory and fame last tournament already.
Will this good question here by Playback Project? Will this prove to be more of a test for the NWSL or for Liga MX at the club level? That's a good question, and depends how you ask who and which team you ask. Yeah. Which team would this mean more? I think if you ask me, a Bay FC winning this entire tournament would mean the world to that team right now. If this goes to Gotham and they just blow everybody out of the water because they're playing really well, or it's a Portland Thorns that, one of those elite teams right now, then it's like, all right, well, we just risked our players, and our backup non-Olympic players did really well, right? And you can really take that how you want. The purse at the end, like the pot, can mean nothing, relatively speaking, to what they can do. None of these teams are going to be revolutionized by the wealth accumulated by winning this tournament, but it's the beginning of something. One person that's not going to be complaining about it is Casey Stoney, because she's no longer here to complain about it. Had to enjoying the Euros in her vacation, paid by San Diego Wave. And enjoy your extended
Guaranteed
holiday, Casey, Stoney, and family. But overall, I think it's going to be a summer to look forward to. There's going to be some Olympics that we're going to go ahead and do coverage on. We have some interesting just mind gymnastics happening with what we're going to go ahead and do when it comes to Olympic coverage, and just some interesting takes at the end of the day. But you good there?
Yeah, I dropped my paper that has my answers and stuff.
I mean, so let's dive into that, right? I think, Tony, if you're down, I know, Abe, you kind of have a little game.
Hold on. Before the game.
Okay.
Because, maybe not next year if they go back to Torero and they do have this set up again, and for whatever reason, the squad is what it is, and then the person who is rumored to be in San Diego is playing next year at Torero Stadium or at Snapdragon Stadium in this tournament. Did you catch wind of this, Abe, over the weekend? The rumors of coming out of France that San Diego Wave is looking to add some firepower with Olympique Lyonnais femenil forward Delfiner Cascarino.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the Wave do need offensive tools. I don't know if a forward is the best option. I mean, forwards can be moved everywhere, and also when you bring in a forward, it might move one of your wingers or forwards kind of back towards the midfield. I think we saw Maria Sanchez in more of a midfield role for Mexico this past weekend, and you might be able to see that with the Wave if a player like this comes in. She would take up the last international spot that the Wave have, which I think you kind of have to do. You want to fill out all those international spots, and if you have the money to do it, just go for it. So I think it could be an interesting move. The Wave don't have a French player yet, so just go for the whole country, I guess.
just go and just go for France. Like,
I mean the world. I mean the whole world. That's what I should have said. You have players from like Ireland, Sweden, Canada, Australia.
French player would be cool.
Mexico,
I'm not gonna sit
France.
here and say, oh, like this player is great. I probably never seen her play, at least with Olympique Lyon, but looking at stats, I mean, if she's a forward, I hope she has more assists than goals. 134 appearances with Lyon since 2015, 20 goals. It's not a lot. It's not. I don't feel like it's something. Hopefully, it kind of changes something up in the Wave offense if this does go through. I do think it can be exciting. It's a 27-year-old striker. I'm all for it. I do wish they would have gotten a midfielder. I feel like that's something that they need the most. Depending on how, if Buckle manages to change a formation or something. But I agree. They need goals. They need goals, and this is the way to get goals. You put in a new striker on there.
You mentioned Buckle, but it's like at the end of the day, I think it's very clear that like these moves aren't coming from a specific person other than the top at San Diego Wave.
At the end of the day, Buckle is the coach right now.
Yeah,
so he's the one making the calls on the field.
He could decide not to play Cascarino. And just some stats that come up when compared with the top 9 competitions in the world of the last year based on 573 minutes played. She does rank in the 89th, almost 90th percentile of progressive passes, 97th percentile on successful take-on. So you like that in a winger where she's brave, she has a skill, she has a dribbling, she has a footwork in order to take on and really take it to that defense where we've seen, and this season especially, that I've come to realize that it's still a game where the team aspect can win in any setting in the NWSL. But if you do have those those individual performances and individual players that can take on a couple of people, that's going to be a game wrecker, and that's going to be what's going to be successful in the offensive side of things. Just look at Mel B and what she's done in the last couple of games and minutes that she's been on the field, right? Like she's just coming in, taking people on, and creating chances, getting penalties that Alex Morgan misses. But we won't mention that right now.
6-9 Soccer letting us know that she's more of a right winger.
Yeah, and she can play on both sides, but she is more of a right winger, which means she then can complement Maria Sanchez that has been playing on the left, or you can play her, and you can then maybe also put Maria Sanchez a little bit more centrally. What I can say is that this is, from my sources, confirmed. That has been confirmed that Cascarino will be making her way down to San Diego, not playing just yet, but within the next couple of weeks, she will make touchdown here in San Diego and be part of San Diego Wave.
Nice
Sources.
You got to play the sound. Come on.
No. That was not the sound.
Confirmed.
Breaking news. Confirmado. Here we go.
Llega.
Sí llega. Se queda. And again, is that the answer for San Diego Wave to turn this entire season around? Probably not. You could have done this move with Casey Stoney still at the helm. Again, I'm going to keep going back to what success was yielded from the move to let Casey Stoney go at that designated point in time. Because, again, if you do make the playoffs, and sure, you can go with the narrative of, wow, see what happened? Paul really turned it around. And our international global search for, a head coaching talent is going to be set up for success. And it would be a good story. But again, if these players were on there, speaking of Barcenas, earned a spot as a starter based on the minutes that she has played.
No, she has
Not
not earned, not yet.
not yet.
I do think she'll become a star. Actually, no, she won't be available for the
She won't
Summer
be
Cup.
available, but what I will say is that her match fitness isn't there for 90 minutes. And while, yeah, you can go ahead and go for the 60, 75th minute play where she's a starter, she gets that. I think right now, as a game changer, is the best role that she can definitely be serving in right now. She's that spark. She's that element where if she gets the ball, you're going to have to pay attention. The league is on notice. If Melanie Barcenas touches the field, you're going to go ahead and have extra coverage on her. And that's just going to take away, hopefully, from somebody else, Maria Sanchez, because then land across or something along those lines where she can get that disruptor role hands down locked in.
How close would you say the U.S.? 'Cause I'm saying the U.S. just because they're known to produce great talent, at least in soccer right now. And how close do you think the U.S. is to creating a player kind of like Lamine Yamal, right? 16 years old, barely turned 17, tearing it up in a big stage with Spain, becoming champion. How close do you think the U.S. women's national team is, or just the NWSL in general, to creating a player like that? I mean, Mel B's up there, Ascanio's up there, but how soon maybe do you think that could happen?
We kind of have seen it a little bit with Olivia Moultrie. Alyssa Thompson was called up to the national team for the World Cup, but she looked really nervous out there, honestly. Jaden Shaw, I think Naku just said it in the chat, makes really good.
100%.
But like a 16-year-old, I doubt it with how good the forwards and everyone on the national team is right now. I don't think there's a good idea to bring in a young player like that to kind of mess up how great the forwards have been with Trinity Rodman, Mallory Swanson, and Sophia Smith.
They're great, but then they struggle in their games and they're not as dominant anymore. So there was a point where the U.S. women's national team was destroying in every game.
True, but I think the level has definitely
100%,
exponentially grown.
100%. But I mean, if the U.S. is not going to keep up with it, bringing those young players that are going to spark things up.
Okay, Jimmy Lozano. 100%. All right, great idea, dude. I mean, it's a give and take, right? Because there's still a lot of great talent with the veterans, the squad that they have right now. Maybe not veterans like Alex Morgan per se, who are phasing out of the national team, but you are having a stimulus of talent that's coming up. Again, just mentioning some of the names that we just mentioned, throwing me official. Like, again, the U.S. women's national team is in good hands, but does that mean that they're going to be as dominant as they once were? I don't think so, because the world's changing. The infrastructure of leagues is definitely much higher. The talent is just insane. Where like the moment the individual aspect gets taken out, unless you're a mercurial player in the NWSL at least, and is when I'll be like, okay, maybe start time to get worried. But so far, it's still taking one or two players to disrupt everything that can really turn a game around. And that's just based on what we've seen in person and watching some of these international games. Is that's the reality of it right now. And there are teams that are getting it together. Spain is on the international setting. Great. You're starting to see that with Gotham and how they're playing. Maybe, and you mentioned this, I think it was you, Abe, right? The worldwide search for a next head coach for San Diego Wave may land in Spain, because that's the way that soccer is naturally progressing. It's the fundamentals, a different type of fundamentals. Yeah. Something I like about the NWSL is that it's a fundamental game, and that's just a really good, pure expression of soccer to its core. And so I think it's moving in the right direction just globally, and tournaments like the Summer League are definitely gonna go ahead and help that. So just wanted to mention that before we get into our cool Torero Stadium. I don't even know, what are you calling this, Abe?
Torero Trivia.
Torero Trivia.
A few questions. It can be, you guys want to work together, or do you guys want to go against each other?
Against each other.
Because then if we both get let's do one answer, because if we both get it wrong, that just means that one of us got it wrong. I don't know.
I'll start you guys off with an easy one. Do you guys want an easy one to start?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Wave played 11 matches at Torero Stadium across all competitions.
Mm-hmm.
How many times did they win?
I know they had a lot of ties. There were a lot of ties at home for Torero. How many times did San Diego Wave win at Torero Stadium?
Their first game. 0-0.
Great, great. Yes, they did win that one. A couple of penalixes. I want to say 6.
I'm gonna go with.
Wait, are we going with the same answer or a different answer?
I want to go with a different
Okay,
answer. I
fine.
think
Screw
it's
the rules.
I don't know if it's 6.
Okay.
5,
5, 4, 3.
I'm gonna
2,
go with
1.
5.
5.
5. You guys are both
Oh, yeah.
incorrect. It was 4.
4.
Damn it.
4
Okay,
wins,
closer.
4 draws,
Yeah.
and 3 losses.
You know what I'm
Okay.
counting? I'm counting the Carly Telford penalty save to
That
tie
was
that game.
a win in the books.
That was an
win.
emotional
That was a
win, 100%.
Emotional
There was another comeback I remember on there. So, all right, cool.
I
Next
didn't
question.
count emotional wins.
See?
Sorry
Okay.
about that. So I got one.
Damn.
This one might be easier. Who was the first professional San Diego women's soccer player to score a goal at Torero Stadium?
Professional San Diego, like from San Diego, or that plays for San Diego?
Plays for a San Diego soccer team.
Shannon McMillan. I mean, if we're being technical,
I mean, if you're being technical,
I'm going to go with
That-
Shannon McMillan.
Is the correct answer.
okay.
Yes.
perfect.
Shannon McMillan with a brace in
Absolutely.
Yeah.
against
Shout
the
out
Washington Freedom.
San Diego
Good stuff,
Spirit.
Tony.
Shannon McMillan, part of the recently celebrated 99ers,
99ers.
will be on San Diego Punto Futbol's 2 Balls and a Mic next week. Confirmed appearance by the great Shannon McMillan.
Ooh,
Did not know that was a
Shannon.
question. That was a good segue.
Wow.
Abe?
It's
All right.
crazy. I can't believe that was like 2001 or 2002, and
Yeah.
now she's with the Wave. Like, that's pretty cool.
It's a good little story.
Yeah,
It's
it
through
is.
line. All right, I like this.
Now,
Hey,
who was the first NWSL player to score a goal in Torero Stadium?
Did they have a friendly?
Did they have a
at
friendly?
Torero, I think.
Sophia Jakobsen.
Chiva?
And I'm gonna go with Alex Morgan, but I think Tony's right. But Alex Morgan.
You guys are both incorrect.
Incorrect.
The first NWSL player to score was Savannah McCaskill with Angel City.
Oh my
Interesting.
God.
Okay.
Savannah
The
McCaskill.
first Wave
All right.
player. Do you guys know who the first Wave player? It's neither of those two for the first Wave player.
It's a midfielder.
I swear if it's Emily Van Egmond.
Not Van Egmond. Jody Taylor? No.
No, she was a forward.
I'm gonna. Who was it, Abe?
619 Soccer is right. Kaylee Reel.
Kaylee
Kaylee
Real. Shout out
Real.
Kaylee Real. Shout out 619 Soccer.
619 Soccer's looking on
La
this
famosa
up.
Kaylee Real. 100%. I like that. I like that. That's a point for you. That's a point for the audience. We're tied.
Okay, so
Alright.
yeah, you guys are tied 1-1 right now.
Yeah.
Go against the chat.
So everyone knows who has the most goals for the Wave at Torero Stadium. It's obviously Alex Morgan. But who has the second most goals for the Wave at Torero Stadium?
At Torero Stadium.
Stadium.
At Torero Stadium. Playback saying, waiting for Siri. Who's
At
the
Torero
second most
Stadium.
goals at Torero Stadium? Because it's Alex Morgan's Pen Alex 100%. I'm going to go with, the artist formerly known as Taylor Korniak.
I'm gonna go with. Hold on, Nick. Give me 5 seconds. to think
Sophia Jakobsen.
it's not. She had a 1 goal there. I'm gonna go with Jody Taylor.
And this is across all competitions. Just one
Across all competitions.
Challenge Cup too.
Challenge Cup.
Cuando quieras, güey. Cuando quieras.
Dude, it's hard.
Well, then just spew it out because
Okay,
clearly you don't know it.
I'm gonna go with Mackenzie Doniak.
What?
It was Amira Ali.
Amira
Ali.
3 goals.
Amira
goals.
Ali. Oh man, Abe, the story I have about Amira Ali for you is I've been promising you for 2 weeks, but oh man, yeah, Jody Taylor. People were guessing. See, we weren't totally off.
All right.
No, there's
Right.
been a lot of Jody Taylor. Okay. Now, who has which Wave player has the most yellow cards in Torero Stadium history?
Taylor
Most
Korniak.
yellow cards has to be Taylor Korniak.
Has to be Taylor.
Has to be Taylor Korniak.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, no, but I'll give you guys a second guess. She only had one yellow card at Torero. She got
Oh
a
my
lot on the
God.
road.
Okay, so better
Gosh.
question of asking this, Sabe. Who was the one person to get a yellow card at Torero Stadium for San Diego Wave?
No, there's a lot of players that have gotten yellow cards at Torero.
Wait, no.
I'm
So there's one Wave player that only got a yellow card.
No, I'm saying she only got one. Korniak only got one.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, I'm gonna go with Westphal.
McNabb.
McNabb. You
Both
guys
are wrong.
both incorrect. They never got yellow cards at Torero Stadium.
Okay,
That's
The
right.
correct answer, Kaylin Sheridan.
Kaylin Sheridan.
Tied
Abby
for
Bell-
second is Kelsey Turnbow, Jody Taylor, and Casey Stoney with
Who
2
would have
each.
thought the violent turn of Kelsey Turnbow, second most yellow cards in Torero history? Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Abby didn't play enough.
difficult.
Yeah, she didn't play enough because Abby got carted off very early on in that season.
like
I
20
hope
minutes-
she doesn't
20
see
minutes
ghosts
into the game.
Yeah, at least they didn't make her walk up the hill like they did Kyle Vassell for the San Diego Loyal.
Wasn't
or no,
Kyle
Ebby.
Vassell, Ebby
It was Ebby who
Yeah.
tore his
Yeah.
ACL. They're like, walk up.
walk up there.
Legend.
All right, Abe, you got another one?
All right,
Kelsey
we got
Turnbow.
a few more.
All right.
Who had the most minutes played at Torero Stadium?
Damn it.
Which Wave player had the most minutes?
Which almanac did you look this up, Abe?
I had to do all of this like by hand. It was,
I'm gonna
I've,
go with
like,
I'm gonna
way
go
too
with
many.
Westfall.
Kristen Westphal, Tony.
I think so too, because she's been consistent throughout.
Yeah,
Oh wait, minutes.
Minutes, most minutes played.
I'm gonna go
Kaylin
with,
Sheridan,
I'm gonna go with Kristen Westfall.
They
If
did
not,
have
it's
a lot
not
of
me, but
international
I'm gonna go
games.
with Westfall.
red card.
Chiva is correct.
Ah, And I
Kaylin
was gonna
Sheridan
say,
had too
yeah.
many international games.
yeah, she's Sheridan.
Yeah.
Esteban knows where I was going. Germa, Morgan. Okay, cool.
It was
I mean, tell for
Westphal first, Emily Van Egmond second,
Mm,
and then a tie between Germa and McNabb.
nice.
You know my favorite part about this? This information is all written on an envelope.
I think you got my
like, "Oh, I need to
W2
write
this
it."
envelope.
Yeah, Sheridan missed a couple with internationals and whatnot. Yeah, no, that makes sense. All right.
Okay.
I got one right.
I think I have two more. One of them is really hard. One of
Okay.
them's kind of like a bonus one. Okay.
Okay.
This is pre-wave. In 2012,
Oh,
Torero Stadium hosted the College Cup, the NCAA College Cup.
Stop looking it up, Tony.
No,
I'm
no,
not.
Don't look this up. Stop. Put your hands up. Hands up. Everyone, both hands up. Okay.
Tony.
Can you name any player on either of those teams? They are familiar names.
I'm gonna go 2012. Oof. Damn, dude, I was a freshman in high school. College.
Current international players played
Current
for
national
The
players?
international players.
International
either-
players.
international, national for U.S. also for other teams.
throwing out Lindsay Horan.
I'm gonna
I'll
Throw
tell you guys
in-
the colleges: UNC versus Penn State.
Alex Morgan?
No.
No, it was Crystal
No.
Dunn, Rocky Rodriguez. There was a few
Yeah.
answers there.
Yeah.
Player of the tournament, Kayla Ohai Watt, now married to JJ Watt, won the player of the tournament. that thing.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I knew that part. I didn't. I was never going to connect. I will tell you right now. It was never going to
Yeah,
connect.
no, that one was way too hard. I didn't want
Yeah,
to.
that was that
All
one's
right.
all right. All right.
Yeah.
This is
Right now, I think Chivas winning 2-1.
Ooh.
We can go
Oh, yeah,
crazy
well,
and do who can name the most players from the first ever Wave starting 11.
the first ever
Or
we started.
how about whoever got anyone that got minutes in that game? If you name those players,
On the first game?
yeah, their first
Alex
game.
Morgan.
Just one by one?
I guess
Yeah,
Kaylin
go.
Sheridan,
Abby Dahlkemper.
Naomi Girma.
Wait. Technically, hold on. Let me go back. I need to find the actual thing.
What are you gonna tell me? Naomi Girma didn't start?
Mia
I don't
Hamm.
think she started. Or no, Germa started.
Yeah.
Dahlkemper was subbed off. Okay, you guys are both good.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's so you said Morgan, I said Sheridan,
Jody Taylor.
Westfall.
Okay. McNabb.
Mm-hmm. Van Egmond.
Korniak.
Was she a starter?
Wait.
I don't know if she started.
Oh, come on, Abe. Come on, Abe. Come on, Abe.
Van Egmond did not start,
Ah,
Yes.
but
okay.
she did sub on, I think. Yeah,
Damn.
Van Egmond did sub on. So
Korniak?
Korniak was there.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
Sophia Jakobsson.
Ooh.
Sophia Jakobsen played, yes.
Wow, what a team. Kelsey Turnbow.
Kelsey Turnbow did play as well.
Yes. Legend.
Who was the left
They should
back?
retire her number 6.
Oh my God, what was her name? She was traded. Oh, what was her name? The left back.
Yeah. What is her name?
Oh, she was traded
She was traded.
for
You're right.
Poe.
Yep, absolutely. No longer here. Just like Poe, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, time's running out.
Time
Abe,
is running out.
Abe is having 5 seconds on his hand. 5, 4.
Kaylee Rio.
Kaylee Real also played.
Saved yourself. Amira Ali.
Amir
Ali.
Ali subbed
Yeah.
on for
Subbed
Taylor
on.
Korniak.
Yeah. Find it. There's only a finite amount, but like
what was
we're
her
running out.
name, dude.
Find it, Chua. Find it. 5.
Again, 5,
Oh
4,
my gosh, what was
3,
her name?
2, 1.
I'm blanking on her name.
It's okay. Tony, you gotta give us one to end.
Oh,
in. It's like
gotta give you
knockout
one?
rules. It's like
Knockout rules. Okay. That was gonna be the player formerly. No. No, I already mentioned her. I thought I had it in the bag, but I don't. It was no. Relax. You got more time. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
5, 4, 3, 2.
Nope, don't have it. Just buzz me out. Just buzz me out.
The few answers you could have gotten were Tegan McGrady. That's the left back
Brady,
you're
there
thinking
you
about.
go. Yeah.
I wasn't going for it.
Tegan McGrady, Katie Johnson,
Katie Johnson. I was gonna.
Katie Johnson.
Yes.
Belle Breedy subbed on for Kelsey
Belle Breedy, there you
Turnbow.
go.
Legends of the game.
Yes.
I hope
And-
they get honored at halftime.
I like that question.
That was a
good one.
great
That
question.
was a good
Abe.
one.
So you guys are tied. Actually, no. Chiva won.
Yeah,
Chiva won.
you did. Good job. Finally, you
Thank
win.
you.
You win. Congratulations. Your check will be mailed eventually. I like this. We'll do more of this, and I'll have some background music too.
Yeah, we need some like trivia music to put the pressure on.
Yeah, we're just gonna loop whatever we just did with our mouths. And
Okay,
just,
I'll shorten
okay.
it next time, but that's all I got.
Oh my
for you
God, those
guys.
were
That was great. Thank you, Abe,
Those
for
were-
coming up with that.
Those are very interesting. All right. San Diego Wave. Anything else with San Diego Wave? We have a great game coming up. I know
Yeah.
the Sirens who, before we do move on, I do want to give them their flowers and definitely give them props for everything that they've been going through. Just for the last couple of weeks, they've been going through it. It hasn't been a very easy time to be a supporter group for the San Diego Wave in these last couple of days, but I think they've honestly conducted themselves incredibly well. So just kudos to leadership out there. Kudos to everybody who is doing the right thing and just speaking out their truths and just making sure that at the end of the game, it's a game, but everybody should be able to feel respected and it should feel the love through that. So I think the Sirens are doing an absolutely wonderful job in keeping to that. Hasn't been an easy time. And for the statements that they've made, take note, SDFC people, like supporter groups and just in general, like that was a good way to do that. I know there's been controversial topics here in soccer in San Diego before that really tested uncharted waters, which this is some of that. But at the end of the day, we're here to cover soccer and the game, but I just want to give those kudos to the Sirens. There isn't a call to Sirens this week. We're going to go ahead and take a week sabbatical, week off in order to bring it back next week. And, just maybe Mary put that together with Shannon and just blend that in. We'll talk about that, but definitely a good old time coming in. Bonus, name all the sides and entrees for flavor of East Africa. Got it. You got the coconut rice. You got the saffron rice. You got
samosas.
You got samosas. You have two different kinds of samosas.
Mhm.
You have the collard greens. Why am I going for sides first? Then you have the jerk chicken, and then you have the yellow curry.
Yeah.
And you also have the spread of
That is where
beverages.
Tony spent his $15 vouchers every time.
Absolutely. And that was it. So
Because they would accept the $15 voucher for the $17 plate. They were so cool.
They were so
cool.
about
They're
that.
like, yeah, we'll take it. We got you, dude.
Collard greens and chickpeas. Yep. I mean, that's the life. Hopefully they're gonna go ahead and be there. Talk to the big squeeze. Get your lemonade.
Oh, man, I hope so. I hope so.
Just memories
Yeah.
coming back for
Not
that
you
stadium.
can have any of that right now, but
No, I cannot. I can. You want to know something? That's I mean, I could say it here,
not
which is
really,
fine.
but-
So last week there was a coworker who was like, "Oh, I make these enchiladas with like breakfast enchiladas with huevo con chorizo, and it's really good." And she was kind of telling me, "Oh, that sounds great." And then like in passing, she's like, "Oh," and it wasn't just me one-on-one conversation, it was the group, and she's like, "Oh, like I'll make some and bring them next week." And like I didn't hear that. Shows up today, and she looks at me, she's like, "I brought the enchiladas for you guys, and like for you, like because she was telling me about it," and I'm like. Got it. And
oh man, did you explain? You did not.
You ate it?
No, he
It's
did
okay.
not. You saved
I
it.
did not eat it.
You gave it to someone.
I did not give it to somebody.
You threw it away. You're such a terrible person.
That's the
he does
worst
that all
thing
the
you
time.
could have done.
You'll grab snacks and throw them in the trash can out of being so petty because he can't have it.
Oh my gosh.
Pisses me off.
I pay my taxes.
Get out of here.
I pay my
He'll
taxes.
go grab a bag of
that's the
chips,
most political
opens
this
it,
show's
and
gonna
dumps
get
it in the
today.
trash in front of me.
Yeah, because so you can't have them. But after that, 5 minutes later, I because I did the exercise because I needed to be the first one to get to them. It was over in the kitchen area. I got a little boat. I got some. Put them on the little boat. Put them on the side. Messed up the little spoon and boat a little bit. Just they were disposed of. In a separate receptacle from where the boat was that was clearly on top of everything. Because like, look, and my hands had a little bit of the sauce, and so I wiped it off as I'm walking into the main area, and everybody's sitting down, and I had to get in front of it. So I'm like, wow, that was really good.
You're terrible. You suck. This guy.
That's the
right.
worst.
All right.
There's no reason for that.
There's no reason, but we do have a guest waiting. Over.
Absolutely. We're going to go ahead and switch gears because, again, this is San Diego Punto Football. We talk about everything that we have here. Abe is going to be put away here in a bit. He's going to go ahead and go bye-bye. There he goes. Season's greetings to Abe, wherever he is. But definitely an international show at times. As you see displayed is the ticket to the World Cup, which is essentially the goal for this podcast and always has been since day one to go to the 2026 World Cup with media credentials, the Copa America credentials being displayed with our names underneath. It says journalists. You can't take that away. Comnabol said it, but again, now with Comnabol saying is very interesting at times. But with that, we're going to go ahead and move it into this Copa America segment that we have a great guest that we'll bring on here in a second. He did some commentary with us for the San Diego Sockers. He scored the game-winning goal with the
halftime media game. Yeah,
with the halftime media game with Emo Brown's jersey on and Jordan's on. Like that's the most impressive part. I think with the Jordans on, last second came in, absolutely tore it up. Gave you and handed you your second L in Pachanga Arena. Let's remind the people you've never beat me at Pachanga Arena, nor even scored. You never will beat me at Pachanga Arena. We're gonna go ahead and bring on the
front wave is my arena.
Okay.
That's my redemption. That's mine.
Just a hat. I mean, it'd be crazy if you score a hat trick.
Oh.
What if I just say I'm just gonna retire from the goal? I'm just gonna play outside. I got the stamp. I don't have the stamina. It's been proved, and we're gonna talk about that with Bridge Barkada. But bring it on right now. We have made a lot of friends, and this individual is no different. We're going to go ahead and bring on doing work with Fox Sports for Copa America, Andrés Jaime Mendez. Señor Andrés, how are you doing?
What's going on, guys? Thanks for having me on. It's some great discussion you had before me. Hopefully I can match those levels.
No, I mean, you are ready. You are prepared. Let me tell you one thing
I love
is
the
that
little trophies out there.
those little trophies that you have in front of you are priceless. Those are the
Gotta
things that
save
make
'em.
me happy. Like little things. You see the non-rights holders poster underneath. You see the reserve. Then there's the Bienvenidos Mexico Venezuela press conference. Like those little things make this all worth it.
You gotta save them. I mean, there's no way around it. Like, especially like you have no idea how many of these cards were in existence at the Fox studio lot here in LA. You can't understand. When I saw the amount, I was just beyond shocked. I mean, having one for myself, gotta do it. Gotta do it.
100%.
Absolutely. And so, you're here in LA on the West Coast doing coverage and helping with coverage with the Copa America and Euros for Fox Sports. So, could you just give us some background as far as, how you got involved with Fox Sports, some of your background in the sports broadcasting world is, and just kind of how you experienced this tournament?
Yeah. So I mean, I think funny you guys talked about, the journey to getting credentials, because I think that's obviously been my big dream leading up to 2026, which will also be the year I graduate from college, so it'll be right after. So just kind of that segue is kind of been building up to that point with everything I've done, and so Fox actually started with MASL when I was working with Utica City. I got introduced. Ryan Sigich actually introduced me to JP Della Camera. And then from there, he, really is the godfather of soccer and really helped me out a lot to get to Fox, and now being with on-air talent development and, kind of really getting a good grasp of what it takes to be on air at Fox, and helping out with the production has been great. And, obviously doing soccer with, indoor with the MASL with you guys in Spanish. It's too bad. I hope they bring that back at some point. Maybe got to talk to Craig about that, but I would love to bring that back. But, just getting two sides, last summer being with Telemundo for the Women's World Cup, and that team did extremely well, producing it, winning an Emmy, a Telly for graphics, which was the team I was thankful to be a part of. So, I mean, it's been a super fun ride, and yeah, just like you guys, building step by step, and the goal being let's get on air for 2026, debut to the world, and yeah, that's kind of I would say I think that's the ultimate point for anyone trying to work in soccer. I mean, you can't get higher than a World Cup, so that is the pinnacle.
And what a
100%.
way to get it kicked off, right? With the Euro and Copa America coverage. I know.
Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to ask.
Yeah.
Like, what was the difference for you? I mean, two sites, right? You have the Euros in the morning, and then you have the Copa America in the afternoon. What was the difference? What did you like more covering when it came to just in general both of the tournaments?
I mean, I honestly think the tournaments kind of balanced each other out, and believe it or not, so did the hours. Because for some of the games, for some of the even for the games that we weren't doing at Fox that Fubo had, the first one, that Switzerland-Hungary game, which didn't even have a score bug. Nobody knew what the score was if you were just tuning in. It was sorry, Fubo, but that was a disaster, and I mean they know it. But just from the hours perspective, I mean, I think Copa was a little better just being in the afternoon, but there were, I think, really good games in both, really bad games in both. I mean, there were some, I think for a lot of people, a Colombia-Panama quarterfinal that was a 5-0, obviously Panama fans didn't enjoy that. But even for Colombia, it just after a while, it's like, okay, it doesn't really make a difference, especially in a knockout game when you're not playing for goal difference. But there were some games in the Euro too that I thought, were supposed to be better and weren't. A Belgium-France, for example.
Any France game.
Any Belgian game.
Oh my goodness! I mean, even I mean, I guess Portugal-Slovenia wasn't supposed to be, crazy game, but
But then you have surprise teams like Georgia.
Exactly.
Fun
That
time.
was
So
that's
fun to watch.
and I think Spain. I was glad that Spain ended up in the final because you look at all the games that Spain played, and that semifinal with France was the only game where it was really like, oh wow, you can kind of start to see France come out of their shell a little bit and actually start to play, seeming like they want to score. And it was kind of the same thing with Argentina. I think that first game against Ecuador, which I kind of watched on and off because I was at the Rose Bowl watching El Tráfico, but I think that was very exciting because Ecuador gave Argentina a run for their money, especially with no extra time. They went for it. Toda la carne al asador, as we say. And there were some fun games in there. I mean, I think even like you look at the contrast, the difference between the two competitions. Like you didn't have a lot of the Uruguay Brazil games where it was just a complete South American dogfight, complete war of a game. You didn't really see that in the Euros, but at the same time, there were certain games that it was just so tactical and going around unnecessarily, like teams not wanting to go at it, kind of trying to feel each other out, figure out each other's strategies. So I think thankfully, Fox picked up the Euro and invested a ton into it. Yeah, there we go. That's exactly right. Can't really sum it up much better than that. I mean, even with the final, I mean, outside the gates, unfortunately, with what happened, but I mean, it's just a fight on and off the game, So I think it was good. Hopefully, viewers, got their pick of, do you want to wake up early and watch a certain type of game? Do you want to wait later and kind of watch, the all-out slide tackles, fouls, cards flying, drama?
Yeah, the violence.
I mean, yeah, it's one of those where if you're working, you're like, all right, let's put on the Euros on the computer while working, and then you go home and you turn on the TV, and now you get to watch Copa America, right? So I mean, Tony, I don't know, which one did you enjoy the most?
I enjoy the Euros more, like just on a pure soccer standpoint, because
Spain made it so worth it.
It's one of those things that you don't really see some of the best of the best express their soccer skills in such a way internationally as you do with the Europeans. And I only say that not to disparage anything that the South Americans and the North Americans did for this Copa America, but I'm familiar with what happens. I'm familiar with Libertadores.
Yeah.
I know it's a shit show. I know when the people who are looking at these just incidents that are happening throughout CONMEBOL of people who are going over the barriers and all these different aspects of the reality of culture of the South American game. 1, 2, it happens in every single major music festival where people are hopping the fence, right? And obviously you want everybody to be safe. You hate to see people who were actually ticketed. You hate to see journalists. Was that you weren't in Miami? That wasn't you getting carried as credentialed media, but and tackled by 18 police officers, right? Just making sure that individual poor guy taken by the ankles.
Thankfully not. I was safe and sound in the Fox Soccer Palace, watching it very, very calmly, watching the chaos unfold. But no, thankfully I was not. That actually, I mean, I knew it was going to be a party, but sometimes parties can get a little bit out of control, and expensive parties like that final was, sometimes leads
$100 for the cheapest ticket. That's insane. It's funny because I was watching the game with my dad, and my dad mentions like,
you're right. It's funny.
It's like Colombian fans is mainly them jumping. Like Mexican fans wouldn't do that. And I said, yeah, because we don't get to the finals.
Great point.
Yeah, excellent point. We'll get to the gaff sport, and we'll mention what the Mexican fan base has been doing in the stands and out stands recently. So it's just the reality of it, where it's like, it's an all out brawl, like you're saying. But it has its own place in soccer, and it's just a different sport at that time. And that's what the World Cup is so great about, right? You get a hard-nosed bulldog mentality team that's just there. It's going to be annoying. It's going to bite your ankles, and they're biting the ankles of literally just gods of the game that are gliding across the grass, trying to do the best motions and the best tactics and the best triangulation. Aquí viene un pinche argentino with the slide tack. Aquí viene un pinche peruano. Venga su madre.
And you had beautiful stories on both the Euros and Copa America. You had Di Maria's last international game, right? Started with 2008, debuted with Messi with Argentina playing their first game together, going through all those losses, and then winning a championship at the end again. And then for the Euros, you have Lamine Yamal, 16-year-old Phenom, with Williams, 21-year-olds, tearing it up, younglings, winning the Euro. So, I mean, both tournaments had great stories, and it's just a matter of which one you kind of prefer to watch. But I agree with you, Tony. I enjoyed the Euros a lot more than the Copa America. And we got to go to the Copa America.
True. Very true.
Yeah, I have to touch on a little bit of this, of what Esteban just said.
Yeah.
Because, I think you can talk about the refs point I'd be careful with, because I think there was some drama, especially, I'm thinking the Germany-Denmark game, which also, when you talk about security, you think about fans entering and running on the field. You had a lot of people run onto the field during the Euro at different points, especially during Portugal games, so much so that they had to say, hey, stop running onto the field to try to get a picture with Ronaldo. Stop it. And they really tried it until the very end. But, some controversy with VAR, we talked about the offside, and, they had the same semi-automatic offside that they used in Qatar. And, you see the little sliver that's offside, and it's like, should the rule really come down to that? I mean, questions that people are asking themselves. Yeah. And then obviously, how does that go with the timing of the ball coming off the foot of the player? And just very difficult to time up when you're talking about those fine margins versus, you're getting these horrible camera angles. I think this was probably the most criticized game of all of our coverage, which was US-Uruguay, because CONMEBOL gave the world feed that was all the way up here in the nosebleeds. And it was the most important game for the US that everybody was tuning into, and you're watching it from row Z. And it was, certain things like that where you look at, well, that offside there, you're looking at a terrible camera angle. You can't really see, down the line. It's difficult, but at the same time, I think a lot of the what's going on is not talked about enough when we talk about the NFL, for example, because those are the same fields they use for NFL, and it's the same sort of strategy that we did not hear. And I think it's just because of how global football is. We don't hear about the criticism that there was a couple years back when the Super Bowl was in Glendale, Arizona, that it was the same technology being used, and players had to change their cleats, but that same publicity wasn't really out there. So I think just from the beginning, I mean, Marcelo Bielsa went crazy in his press conferences for Uruguay, talking about the fields and the excuses and this and that. And it was very interesting, Argentina right out of the gate saying these fields are terrible. This is a disgrace, because Argentinians, they think they're Europeans, right? So they kind of think they deserve the Euro field. I mean, Lionel Scaloni went as far to say that European teams should play in Copa America, and it's like, I think we need to tell them what that competition is called, because it has a different name than Copa America. But, overall, I think, you had the roof leaks at formerly Signal Iduna Park in Dortmund, or just the water, even for the semifinal, was pouring down, kind of like we saw at Old Trafford. So I think just like, Chiva said, there were a lot of storylines. There was also a lot of drama in both tournaments. But I think overall it just added to the experience. Again, thankful that Fox was able to have both of them, and you kind of get your choice. But I think it had a little bit for everybody, and just a little bit of everything, from off the field drama to on the field to, controversial moments, VAR decisions. And I think that's modern football. That's just how it's been and how it's kind of continuing to trend.
And here's the thing, right? Germany hosts the Euros, but they don't have to worry about having the World Cup in 2 years. The U.S. does. Yeah. So they have to figure something out, because, I mean, what happened in the Copa America was just unacceptable. And to have the world's biggest stage, mainly in the U.S. in 2 years, you kind of have to step it up a bit.
they're gonna have to figure something out, and if it's really, do what do what the MLS teams that are starting, send individuals here to go take whatever you think Europeans do better and bring it here and just say, hey, we're trying to copy it. And I don't know what the solution is, but time is ticking. And I don't think we have the let's say labor that Qatar has to really erect any sort of stadiums with that in that sort of timeline. It is what it is. This is going to be the World Cup here in 2 years, so I don't want to disparage FIFA too much yet. Before
let's not piss him off.
Senor FIFA. But no, it's going to be a really interesting just
Senor FIFA.
development. Yeah, I mean, yeah. But overall, I think it was a great festival of soccer overall, a great summer of soccer in general. Just before I let you go here, Andres, and we'll have you back on. I really enjoyed the conversation because there's definitely a lot more that we can get into. Could you anything that you remember, just a brushed elbows? I know you were talking. You ran into Jimmy Conrad and things like that. But anything that just stood out for you and just maybe a learning experience that you had and just going to take from here on out?
Yeah, I think again, as we talk about, everything that goes on, you just think about all the different organizations that are going to be in play in 2026, coming together and, getting to see how UEFA does things, CONMEBOL, Fox, which is obviously a huge organization. And then, just getting to see all these incredible players, getting to, talk to Giorgio Chiellini and Peter Schmeichel and, poor Alexi Lalas gets a lot of hate on Twitter, but just getting to hear, what he has to say and everything, and getting to see Jimmy. He said he owes you guys an email, so hopefully he gets back to you guys.
He's good about that. You're good.
But he's a busy guy.
He's awesome. And just, I think the overall growth of seeing just all the opportunities, we have, you guys talked about your Olympic coverage. I'll be in Paris kind of doing my own coverage that I'm changing from what I did in Qatar. And there's just so much opportunity, and there's so many different platforms, and you see it within Fox of the traditional TV show, this and that. And you also see it in terms of the digital show with Jimmy and Melissa Ortiz and Wes Morgan and other people, hopping in on that. So there's just a lot of opportunity. And it's just, I think, really learning and figuring it out. I had some great conversations with people at NHA in Hollywood that were just kind of talking about, you got to pivot, you got to see what works. And I think just learning all of that as we build to the biggest stage in the Club World Cup next year here in the States. So, it's going to be one heck of a ride. I'm very excited for it, and I know you guys are, but I think it's just about taking it all in, just enjoying the moment, listening, hearing stories, and that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And you mentioned you're going to be in Paris, so I think we may need a correspondent for Paris, and let's connect. Let's connect if that means whole different time difference, but we'll connect to see what we can do there. But where can people find you, Andres? Because definitely people need to go ahead and check you out. And we'll get to a little bit more of this Euro Copa America just discussion here in our next segment as well. But where can people find you and catch all your great content and follow your journey as well?
Yeah. So I think Instagram's kind of my I guess platform I use the most. That is indeed my personal username on Instagram, and then we launched El Maestro Media as well on Instagram. So at El Maestro Media, and that'll be all the Paris coverage from the ground, and everything just expanding beyond football. I talked a little bit about Alex Morgan's missing out on the roster that you guys obviously were in on and talked about, and then Diego Luna as well missing out on the men's side, which is so that's the page right there on Maestro Media. And so starting to get that off the ground a little bit, and let's connect for being a correspondent and help you guys out however I can. And I'll have track and field, swimming, basketball, gymnastics. So it'll be a little bit of everything. And I will get a women's soccer quarterfinal. So that'll be really, really cool to see. And just like you said, these little trinkets, they represent what are some incredible experiences. So just can't wait for that. These next coming weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of miles to travel. Make sure you stay safe at all times. We're definitely going to be following you and your journey. And like I said, we're going to bring you back. I love a conversation with somebody who's as passionate and
definitely top the Abe's conversation.
Yep.
Just kidding, Abe. Just kidding, Abe.
No, but it's definitely a pleasure to have you back. And again, we'll talk to the Soccers. They have San Diego
Let's do
Clippers
one more
money
in
now.
Spanish.
Yeah, 100%. Let's go ahead and do that. Andres, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
100%. Check him out. Check out his page. We're going to go ahead and put you away. Follow him and Maestro Media for Olympic coverage as well. Making it done. Disrupting the sports media world, I'd say. And so keep at it, Caro.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Have a good rest of your night. We'll keep tuning in.
Have a good one, man. Appreciate it. What a guy.
Another individual that we've met through this crazy journey.
It's dope
and
seeing
it's
people
so cool.
also in their own journey and growing, right, and seeing where they're going.
Shout out Francisco, who was over in Miami.
Final.
The local person, one of the San Diego 5 that
at the
only
games.
5 people that cover San Diego soccer in depth.
I don't know if we still want to count Johnny. He's been out a couple games.
Everything San Diego is turning into sometimes San Diego. Shots for Johnny, unnecessary shots. Man does the best work.
Oh man,
he was abroad and doing literally the Lord's work in building families, homes, and not making videos like Mr. Beast does and putting them in precarious just
Johnny would have gone viral.
No,
already.
and the only difference is Johnny just builds these houses against these villagers' will, but they're grateful at the end. It just like holds them down. It's like, I'm gonna build you a nice house. No, Senor Johnny. Shout out Everything San Diego. Everything San Diego is a great page as well. Just again, a bunch of disruptors in the media space in general. But all right, with that, we're gonna go ahead and move into our final-ish, second to last final.
Yeah.
But I think what? I think it's a good time to bring on for another appearance after the great and powerful Andres. We're going to bring on another powerful figure. For El Zarape de San Diego, we're going to go ahead and have a discussion with Hey.
Hi. How's it going?
Hi. Hey. How does it feel to be the tallest man in the South Bay right now?
I thought I'd do it stand. I've been sitting over there for a while, so I thought I'd do it standing this time.
I think my family's gonna hate that you're projecting so well from up there, so I'll just have you take a seat. Welcome on to the pod.
Let's bring it down to the Landon voice.
Let's bring it down to a Landon level.
Let's bring it down. Let's get some NPR voices up in here.
Great to have you here.
Hey guys,
welcome, dude.
We're here to talk about my book club.
What's the name of it says your book club. I was gonna say, what's the name of your book? What's the name of your book? Because you're reading your own book in this book club of yours.
Book Barkada.
Book Barkada. Go ahead and find it in your nearest borders. Not in what's the other one? Clearly, I don't buy books. I rent them.
Barnes and Noble.
Only 2 locations in San Diego.
Use your local bookstore. Go to like Verbatim Books in North Park or whatever. Hit them up. People like that. Everybody's got a local bookstore.
I'm calling your bluff because I'm looking up local bookstores in my area. Look up local bookstores in your area.
The Book Catapult.
Fuck. I mean, this is
the guy that takes strolls around his neighborhood.
If the literacy levels in the South Bay can be explained in a graphic. Fuck.
Hey, there's one right there.
Look at all these bookstores.
The Barnes and Noble.
Look at all, and then it's just All right. Shout out to Accelerated Reading,
Local bookstores.
local bookstores. But I mean,
Hey, if there's a market on 3rd Ave there, somebody should open a local bookstore. We're just saying.
yeah, I'll donate a couple books.
2 books and a mic.
2 books and a mic, where we only listen to audiobooks.
Oh, I love that.
And then Shannon passed and did
just those sweaty balls.
sweating.
Sweaty balls. NPR voice. All right. So Drew, I brought you on a little earlier just to get into the fray of it because
Sure. You
I
had
know
Abe and then Andres and now Andrew. I'm like the sour cream in this dish.
it's a AAA affair today.
Yes.
Absolutely. The second biggest promotion in wrestling for Mexico, AAA.
Triple H.
Triple H, as the British would call.
Abe is
Yeah.
the guac. Andres was the salsa and the sour cream.
No, again, he's meat to mouth guy.
Meat to mouth.
mouth.
But
Meat
yeah,
mouth.
the meat goes in the mouth.
Legendary.
Sometimes just a little mayo, maybe a little aioli. I don't know.
Okay, you called it aioli. You can't call it aioli
It's just mayo, but it's fancy.
just because you call it aioli. The amount of vowels in that word bothers me.
Yeah.
It's too much.
Aioli.
All
I've been
right.
doing
It's
Duolingo.
already derailed into absolute chaos. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and get into a little bit of SDFC talk, which is why I brought you in.
Great.
Perfect.
Esteban saying, all right, what are we saying? 3 hour, 4 hour plus pod?
That's
Neither.
a
Come
man
on.
who knows two
He
balls in a
knows,
mic.
he
That's a man
knows.
who's
Yeah.
here.
Not tonight. though.
It's
No.
not. It's
This
not.
will be silly, but it'll be short. We'll get you out on time. Maybe a little extra rest tonight.
we all have bedtimes tonight. so-
Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, we all have wags now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, tails. Like
Yeah. Like the furries.
yeah, we wag our tails.
Have you seen that? There's a video going out in a furry convention, and somebody's asking again, derailed. They're asking, "Hey, what's your real job?" And it's like, "I'm a mechanical engineer." And they just keep going down the line. It's these like people who have. It's the infrastructure of America,
Right.
Who's just in furry costume. So shout out to the infrastructure of America. Arriba la America.
Chingue su madre.
All right. So SDFC did have some news coming on down. We'll touch very briefly. I know this is very,
Near and dear to
near
my
and
heart.
dear to your heart. But you know who is near and dear to your heart? Duran Free. Duran Free.
And Duran.
And-
Duran so far away.
Is that what I need to change?
to
Have,
the U28
have you
championship?
have you seen our
What's that?
the dumb intro video I have for him?
Well, I just came up with a new track for it.
It's Lucas, great save from Shuttler, the first test of the evening. Looking in Taylor's direction, heads it down. Curry is there, big time save. From his save now, Durant 3-1.
Duran.
You're gonna have to change it.
Couldn't get away. Can't get away from the national team. Who
How
called
about,
him up.
I'm gonna punch this up. Gotta make a save.
The 80s has taken over the two balls out of my garage. But SDFC player
Sign me out with Abe.
just put you away with Abe, just into the abyss. San Diego Waves first signing, Duran Free, San Diego loyal legend. There's currently still a mural I checked the other day of Duran Free in
Alejandro
San
Guidos
Diego.
is still
Yeah.
on 3rd Avenue.
I mean, it's I guess it's of him. Yeah. I was there when it was unveiled. It
Yeah,
was a good time.
They haven't crossed Guidos on 3rd yet.
I mean, it's more interpretive, but yeah, they're like all of them were
yeah, no, 100%.
from the facial aspect.
Collins,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guidos looks like he needs to take a shit.
It's just they did him in really fast, and that's one of the places.
Yeah.
you could tell. The whole idea was like we're gonna put him up quick, and you won't see him, and
Yeah.
like that's cool. They did it like overnight, but like
Like thinking about it, I almost
That's one of
wanted
the
it to leave the
concepts
face
of-
blank. That would have been cool
Right.
because you know it's a
The
number.
lighting is not the best at 3rd Avenue.
Right.
All right.
a little bit of history for everybody. Go back in the archives. There you go.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Duran got called up for the under 20.
Yeah,
You gonna be-
U20 young boys, the younglings, as Chiva called them. 'Cause
He did not
younglings.
pronounce that word right. I took everything in me to not pounce, but I will pounce on him. Like you
He's
said
thinking
that
about
terrible.
Jedi temples and lightsabers and children.
Because we were just talking about it.
Lamina
Sure.
Yamal would be Anakin in this sense, in your reference, and so it just didn't make any sense. And so go back to watching your acolyte, whatever.
And I told you it was not good. You watched it too. So
You loved it.
I did
I'm
not.
talking
Stop
more
lying.
like the second trilogy before the recent one, but like Misa Drew Binks.
I was trying to explain just because my girlfriend's only watched episodes 4 through 6, never watched 1, 2, 3.
Right.
And then she jumped to the Acolyte.
Oh, God.
And like, I mean, we've watched.
That's a jumping in point.
Yeah, that's a couple of parsecs away.
All right. So Duran is, I think, a very capable keeper. He's hitting the milestones that you should be for somebody his age with that talent that we all, I think, have projected to say, hey, he's our hottest talent that has come out of the player pool that came out of Loyal.
Yeah.
Xavi would be up there, I'd say, is probably the number 2, or different pathways. Obviously, keepers in this country get a little bit more of a highlight. We've done the only position we have developed somewhat as a pipeline. So it's cool to see that he's in the pipeline, which I would say is generally just kind of the major comment here, and that he continues to be relevant in that space, which is really good for his career and moving forward. Obviously, Gaga with Chelsea, Slonina is going to be probably the next guy after Turner, and probably push him out eventually. And then Duran would be behind that potentially. There's a slew of other keepers in the mix, but he would be another guy that's in there. So it's cool to see that he's hitting the notes and checking the boxes.
Yeah, hitting a stride in his career, because right now he's currently in Orange County. Last night he was with the team. This weekend he was with the team. We tried to get him as soon as this was announced, but he was in the middle of training going into preparation for the weekend. And then first thing today, he flew with a national team. So
he's been on the run, driving in the sun.
So he is definitely on the move. But we're going to go ahead and get a word in with the Green Powerful Duran Ferry as soon as we can. Speaking of players who were formerly Loyal, Josh Yarrow came up and did some headlines, maybe perpetuated by yours truly's.
Those sources of you.
Sources pointing to the possibility of Right to Dream graduate Joshua Yarrow, former San Diego Loyal, coming back to the city of San Diego that he actually really enjoyed and loves so dearly, still has connections here, to play for a team, San Diego FC, coming into 2025, where he's going to be a free agent. So I don't know if we have any...
Jaro, what's old is new again. I do think, here's my take on all of this. I think it's great. I think that if he wants to come here back to play, I think that'd be really cool. He's got the Right to Dream story, so it all kind of makes sense. It's one of those things where it's just kind of funny that they were like, we don't want to buy Loyal, but we're just going to buy all their pieces individually over time. One by one, we will assemble them. So it is kind of funny in that sense, but I do think that it is, a great move if they were to do it. It's a fan-pleasing move. It's as close to getting like a San Diegan already, because it's somebody who's endeared to the team, a lot of people forget, like, Tony Gwynn's not from here, but he wanted to play his whole career here, right? And so we love players who want to come back here, who want to be here. So I think there's always a special place for players like that in different San Diego sports teams.
The only thing I have to say about Josh Yarrow, I'm going to call out Nick Duffy here. I remember him saying, when Nico Boxall signed with San Diego Loyal, he said he is 100 times better than Josh Yarrow.
Right.
So, I mean, I just want to call him out. Yeah, it'd be great for Josh Yarrow to come back to San Diego. I mean, he's going to be, 29, 30 end of the season.
Center back. He's right now a rotation player for St. Louis.
I think he would be a rotation player for SDFC as well. But I mean, it would also still be a good rotation to have.
Solid.
I mean, he's a pacey center back, which is kind of like what you need to have now in this new era of soccer. So
he understands
want to have
the
that
system
pace.
too.
Exactly.
That's the thing, is I'd say that's the biggest thing, is you have this guy who already gets what your whole multinational
and it's that headline.
About.
Right to Dream graduate comes back to SDFC with the Right to Dream Academy. Full circle moment for Josh Yarrow, who now plays in the MLS as well. But yeah, that'd be great.
Absolutely. Esteban, Matthew, Presidente de los Riptides, said that, it'd be cool to have him back in the Chrome Ball Tour. Midwestern neighbor of yours, Afi, making the chat.
Just like,
look at that,
an hour or so train ride away. But he's there.
You measure time by train rides.
Train rides.
What are we doing?
I live in this idealistic republic called the Midwest.
Isn't that where the guy got shot? Yes. Okay.
No, that was Pennsylvania. They're not part of us. We don't claim them. It's pretty much like
West.
Where that happened was like somewhat West Virginia-ish. So you could say that it's more that than anything. Appalachia.
Do you know the Appalachian Mountains are the oldest mountain range in the world?
Yeah, they extend all the way through Pangaean time. So you have multiple continents that they exist on.
Both of you so much.
You're so out of your depth.
And you know what? You know what they call the southern part of that, Shiva?
What?
The Andes.
Yeah. And we had Andres. Now we have Andrew. And we had Abe.
The Andes.
Yeah, the Andes. This is the dumbest show.
It's a silly show when I'm on, but
I love it.
Esteban, I think we are shooting for 4 hours.
So it's going to be a tight hour 57.
100%. But yeah, so the other news that came down through SDFC is that they're going to be holding visorías, which are the tryouts for the children of the community to be part of the project to Right to Dream. We can go ahead and get in that a little bit later, but that was announced at Romero Manso, which is sacred land for me. So I really hope that it's being absolutely respected and being, I mean, that's it. That's literally the bar. That's the bar where, a lot of the bars have been set there, and we'll see.
Interested to see if it's open to public. To just go check it out.
Yeah, go ahead and check it out. You can register. There's links on the SDFC website. There's links on the SDFC socials. You can go ahead and if you have a 12 to 16-year-old that's ready to give their life up to soccer, because that's literally what it is, go for it. It can be an opportunity. But all right, with that, it's going to bring us now to the final segment of Two Balls and a Mic, which is, and do I have it? I already played it. It's fine. It's goals, gaffes, and greats, where we talk about the goals, the gaffes, the greats.
Goals and gaffes and greats.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
That's the last time you were here.
Yeah.
When you saw Conan, because the name of that clip on StreamYard is Conan.
Conan.
Yeah,
that's right.
And it's still Conan.
Conan.
Conan O'Brien needs a friend. Great podcast. Anyway,
this is the show where we plug other I got other podcasts for you. What about Podcats? It's a podcast about cats.
I love that.
Is that really a podcast?
I'm just making these up.
Podcast.
I love cats.
Yeah.
I'd be so into that.
Yeah,
I would leave this podcast in a heartbeat.
To go do Podcats. I've got one for Abe that he could do. It's a broadcast.
Wow.
Where he goes abroad.
Yes,
wow.
And we have him do international coverage of stuff.
Wow.
It doesn't work as well with Andres, so I can't use him.
But what about
Jaime? Jaime? Jamie? I mean, it is Jamie.
Yeah. We'll work on that. We'll workshop that one.
It is a work in progress. But all right. So we have goals, gaffes, and greats, where we talk about a goal, gaff, and great of the week. So we'll start with a goal off the top. A great goal from a local player with Melanie Barcenas, being part of the other side of the young U.S. soccer landscape of things, getting on the side to make
one of the Spice Girls, Mel B.
That's yes.
It's a Dune reference for the kids. That's like
hello, fellow kids.
So many.
You guys.
Intenta de nuevo Estados Unidos, Scott que se proyecta el ataque, aquí está el tercero, adentro.
Listen out, Mel B.
And it's just the talent that Mel B has where to be. I mean, the play was great. I mean, again, Mel B scoring goals, and we've seen her the last few games when she subs on for San Diego Wave. She's just a firecracker. She's changing the pace of the game. She's making things happen. And I mean, like we were talking earlier, I think it's a matter of time before we get to see her as a starter.
Yeah, I do believe so. The time is coming. Mel B will become that superstar. And, I think she's doing everything right and just learning in what lane she's going to go ahead and develop. And I think this attacking down the middle type of situation is best for her. What I will say about this clip, too, is that I love watching this goal in Spanish. This really kind of makes me want to have San Diego Wave games in Spanish. Like, that needs to happen.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. I know a guy.
Yeah. I know a couple guys.
Yeah. Andres. He's good. Craig's Spanish is all right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our goal.
I was saying me, maybe, but yeah, it's
all right, Milwaukee. You're not in Milwaukee. What's the actual name of your town?
You can call games from anywhere. That's how,
You can. Canela did it.
I heard about a WNBA game being called from Madison, Wisconsin, that the game took place in Chicago. It's crazy.
I think we've talked about this for the Chihuahua San Diego Soccer's games. Like, we would do it in here with Craig, and we would receive the live feed from Chihuahua onto a undisclosed Twitch account that the MASL has, like MASL, like After Dark or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then I would screen
what broadcast on that when no one's watching?
Shout out JP De La Camera. He was he's on there. He runs the show.
Is it just the soccer's mascot like taking off?
Just Sunny. Just Sunny.
Do it like rubbing himself with oil. and
Knowing the
MASL After
individual
Dark.
underneath Sunny just makes that worse and better in so many different ways.
I hope they give Sonny better mileage to Oceanside.
Right.
Every game.
I've always thought Sunny should be a Dalmatian with soccer spots. I thought that would be an improvement. Punch up on Sunny. Free notes for whoever was listening over at the soccer.
You're not okay with anthropomorphic deflated soccer ball?
Well, I mean, it does just have really like CrossFit energy to it.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's weird.
It's a little bit like Boltman had a weird soccer son.
Yeah, like it's a lightning bolt that came to life into that guy, into a chat of a dude.
Yeah.
From a chat of a lightning bolt.
Right.
Sonny's a great goalkeeper, by the way.
Yeah, he is. He's actually a disgusting player when it comes to playing in halftime. He always trips the kids.
Yeah, he does.
He can get away with it.
It's Sunny.
It's all fun.
It's fun. It's all fun and games. All right. So we have a couple gaffes for this segment as well. One of them being just we were there for one of the games. We didn't see any of this. We didn't see any of this at SoFi Stadium, but Copa America.
There was no dogs just running loose.
Yeah, the corgi, bottom left, just getting tossed.
Like, good thing it wasn't under that railing. Jeez.
Yeah, no, that 100%. But God bless that woman that's just like paying like it's just the doggy. Just go through. Yeah, you can see the landscape of the Festival of Soccer in a way, but just a lot of the things that took the headlines was not that, but just. That's not there.
In Wembley.
That's not there. That's
in
Wembley. Giving an example, but giving the vibes of that. Do you have any take on the
best quote I saw was that we'll all remember this time we had together, and it's wonderful before I crawl into this air duct and get out of the Copa America.
Air duct thing was crazy. I think that was Tactical Manager who had that video.
Yeah. I mean, the air duct thing was just like, it's like, and then the Die Hard memes. But yeah, I think I think it's a Latin American, South American scene. You know, it's you wanted to bring Copa America to the United States. You brought Copa America to the United States. The good, the bad, the ugly.
And I think a lot of that is just that they didn't regulate ticket prices.
Right.
I mean, for them to charge $1,600 for the cheapest ticket. I mean, luckily FIFA for the World Cup, they do regulate their prices. So
but the gouging,
we wouldn't be seeing. I mean, yeah, resellers and all that, but at least if you manage to get like tickets through FIFA, you wouldn't be spending $1,600, $1,500, $2,000 for a ticket. But Tony, you're making a face right now.
Yeah, I don't know what you got, like soccer being exploited for money in America.
That
never happened. Pay to play?
No, just like high ticket prices to watch soccer. What are we talking about here? I don't think I've ever heard about that in my beautiful country. So I think both of you should just resign your citizenship right now.
Okay.
Like that's just.
I've been working on Italian on Duolingo.
Oh yeah.
I do feel like Duolingo is like a male Dua Lipa.
Yeah,
like if Dua Lipa,
like if it's a Pokemon, like Nidoran and Nidorina. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Duolingo.
I think about that every time I launch Duolingo.
How's the Italian going?
Desidero que la gente de San Diego sea en pace.
Chinga tu madre,
I speak Mexican. I desire for the people of San Diego to be at peace.
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Well, we're a very peaceful kind until we're not, and we get pushed, and then people get mad when we're like, "Oh, like,
tranquilo, viejo,
tranquilo, calm down." But no, I mean, I think it's just a ginormous failure from CONMEBOL, and we saw it in person, just the disorganization, and for us to
within
say
the press box, dude,
us to say that the best international setting for soccer has been displayed by CONCACAF. I don't think I've ever said a positive thing about CONCACAF, except for you did better than CONMEBOL at hosting a game, hosting your tournament here. Different, same, but different.
And you also got to realize, like, they've had it before. Every year is pretty much in America, and I mean it's a smaller tournament as well. You don't have the talents like Lionel Messi and all these other famous worldwide players playing in the Copa de Oro all the time, but they did organize it better, and I think they knew how to run it better.
I think it's up. What's his name? forget on Twitter. It was like, oh, good thing my city doesn't have a big enough stadium to hold
Z.
Yeah. Good thing our city doesn't have a big enough stadium to host any of these international games. Otherwise, we would have this. I've never seen that at a Wave game.
They could easily climb those fences. That would be just like a sieve. Like the stadium would just be full of people there.
Yeah, no, you'd see it on a summer.
What are you trying to say about my people climbing fences?
I'm just saying just like
Drew.
Snapdragon, if they tried to host this game, like is so much more penetrable.
Are you insinuating?
I think about penetrating stadiums a lot.
Whoa.
I'm just talking about it.
Hell
Yeah. I actually did have a friend once at I forget what it was, an international friendly at in Chicago at the Soldier Stadium there, and like somehow got drunk enough he like climbed outside of the stadium and then tried to get back in. They would not let him back in. So to that point, yeah, we do run our events a little bit better sometimes when they're hosted locally. I do think that the security aspects are there, but it gives us a lot of things to be like, okay, well, they've got 2 years to fix it. And we'll see where they get to. I also think the venues here were a little more scattered and just less prepared in general versus I think in 2 years they'll have 6 months of preparation around this versus this felt like about a month or two.
Like Andres said, right? They'll have a trial run with the Club World Cup.
Right.
Yeah. And you would hope so. But again, that's just a reflection of the infrastructure that's laid for soccer, right? Like you don't have soccer. Fuck. I didn't think I was going to go here. You don't have soccer specific stadiums in the United States to hold a tournament of such magnitude. Clearly, you don't have the
we don't have South
understanding
American
of it.
specific stadiums too that have cages, that have
Yes.
ways of keeping supporters away from
Yes.
people's families. Like
Yes.
we don't have all these things that they have there because the passion is just insane. It's a different level of throwing your body physically into the mix, right? Like it's almost like lemming, like when you watch some of these surges of different groups of fans that are it's insane, but it's the passion and where it takes you, and that's nobody can deny that they care the most.
Yeah,
right? Like it's definitely there.
And that's, half the world in the World Cup that's going to be coming back to these stadiums. And again, this speaks to the infrastructure and the culture that.
And we'll have to deal with British people.
Oh, man. And we saw the Brits and the Dutch kind of go after each other for, seeing who's more impotent than the other.
And I'd say that's the difference between this and the Gold Cup and what we'll have in 2 years versus the Gold Cup is that you only have to manage pretty much Mexico and the United States. And that's the only people who really just like Canada and Jamaica don't have beef, like it's not, there's no real, big supporters mix ups. And even then I'd say we have a pretty friendly back and forth between the US and Mexico generally. Except for friends who had batteries thrown at them at Azteca, but that's what you get when you go into Azteca, that's what you expect in a hostile qualifier and things like that. Like you're gonna face the music. But I think there's other games where I've never seen an issue, obviously, in recent times, right? Where it's not, nothing beyond the normal skirmishes of most rivalries that you see, the unfortunate, needless violence that happens, everywhere at these kind of things. But I would say beyond that, not really. So that you have to contain. This you're doing that every day across the country. And so that's where it's, I think, a little bit different. And you hope that there's just not a lack of preparation plus everything that happens in America, obviously.
I mean, we're talking
sometimes.
Exactly. You're talking about things that happen in America, and this World Cup is going to be shared amongst 3 different countries: Canada, Mexico, and America. Mexico being the safest, apparently, but then again, you have things like
even despite what I just said, I would probably feel happier there than probably here at some of these games.
And I mean, I don't want to put this just into the ether, but this is what happened over at Cholos. If you don't know, last Friday there was a Cholos Chivas game that became violent with eventually shots being fired and an individual being killed on the premises of the stadium, despite what the Cholos will say that it was outside the stadium. Motherfucker, that's the stadium. Like, you can be kicked out of those premises by stadium security. It's the stadium, right? It's still a parking lot. It's an unfortunate just spillage over from what you're saying, right? Like
happened at Raiders Chargers games multiple times. If you look it up in the history, it's sadly every other year there'd be a stabbing or a shooting. Someone would either go in critical condition and hopefully recover, and then some people passed. And it's very sad, but it's a needless thing that happens whenever you have these kind of clashing of people and drunk people and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so is this something that that maybe not STFC in general, but just this is what the soccer culture that you're opening your doors to can potentially lead to? And I don't want to say that it's just coming from one side. Again, you're mentioning that the Europeans can come over and just wreak havoc, and it's just a matter of being prepared.
Try to buy guns and shit.
Yeah. Just for the month.
Yeah.
I think the one place in the World Cup we won't have this is Canada.
Canada, well, no, they'll have it locked down.
They'll have a queue for everything,
and then people will be confused as far as like, well, I'm looking for the line.
Yeah, no, the queue's over here, man. QAnon.
But I'm in section R, not in section Q. All right, that's dumb jokes. Jeremy, pal, your pal Chiva, Jeremy, our pal Jeremy, was in Europe, watched the Euros, and so as a good inside the Euros, they had multiple ticket checks. By the time they got into the actual gauge, two people had already seen your tickets or turn you away, and that's just the experience of having to deal with these situations over there. Alcohol isn't sold during the match. Maybe
typically that a lot of leagues have it where you can't watch the pitch from where you get booze.
Yeah,
that's kind of a thing that's specific to England, and I'd say a few other countries that have a similar outlook to it. Some don't sell it during the match, some don't sell it after halftime. They're just normally a little bit more restrictive and thoughtful, I would say, generally about how they do beer. I'm not sure exactly how Germany does it, so I would need a primer on that. They seem to be a little more liberal with it, but at the same time responsible in how they expect people to act, at least in terms of having order, and Canadian and in that way.
Tolerance is probably a lot higher too.
Right. The tolerance is higher.
But yeah, so I mean, that's kind of like there used to be a segment in Mexico called Gol, Error y Figura, which has no impact on the creation of goals, goals, and greats. Absolutely does. But then they also had a segment called El Pito Negro, which is just like that's literally what it was called verbatim. I remember it, and it's a silbato. That's a whistle. That's what the referee uses. That's literally the name of the segment. Go look it up.
How do you say that in English? Pretty much.
Usa. Don't continue it. All right. And so that section with Cholos is part of that, gaff side of it. But there was a great in that match, 4-2 victory. Had an assist, former San Diego loyal. A lot of former San Diego loyal. Hey,
loyal. We live through them.
Of Cholos for this
captain
match, by the
of
way.
Cholos, center back extraordinaire, legend for this team.
Center mid in this game as well. So
Joe Corona y
one of my favorite center backs. Not one of my favorite cervezas, but definitely one of my favorite center backs.
Bark rating though. I mean, we've seen barks now just in
that was a great bark.
It comes from his soul. I don't think you can say that there's better barks out there, but I think it comes deep from within him. I think he's really.
What type of dog did he do?
A cholo, clearly.
I mean, being of the place and of the space, you would assume so. Maybe also like
just the technique.
How would you guys do that? What would your bark be?
If you're thinking of dogs as center backs, though, would a Cholo make a good center back?
It'd be like Alaba type, where you have to pair him with a Rudiger,
right?
And a Rudiger's like
they usually say dogs and cats as center backs. There's like a cat center back and a dog center back.
A lot of other players went a little deeper, like woo, woo, instead of.
But that's not a Cholo.
Yeah, that's not a Cholo.
And again,
right?
We're getting to specifics of the great bark. This is what makes him a great. Like I unfortunately this time, guys, I didn't have time to reach out to Joe and say, "Hey, Joe, you won the Great of the Week for San Diego Football. How do you feel?" Okay.
No, I mean,
but does he say this in English or Spanish though?
Bark.
Like that wolf is pretty international.
It's universal. I feel like you could do that anywhere, and people would know you're talking about a dog specifically, not a different animal.
Now, I promised Abe, you can turn on your light if you want to come on, just because I want to see your reaction, because this is something that the Liga MX has been doing. They've been implementing these intros like legitimately.
It's NFL style, right?
It's not even the Liga MX. It's
the
teams that are
Tijuana State University,
sponsored by Caliente. They're the ones that have been doing it. Wouldn't I be surprised if Chivas come out and do something similar? English
or Spanish? Hey, pause. Esteban. English or Spanish? No. All right. But I just want to bring you on because this is something that you are mentioning, Chiva, that's been going on in Liga MX with certain caliente teams. Clearly, the Bark, the whole lineup did their own interpretation of the Bark, a la NBC Sunday Night Football. But there's other teams underneath that caliente moniker. One which is the Gamecocks of Querétaro, the chickens,
Gallos Blancos.
Gallos Blancos. So naturally, what does a rooster sound like? When we're gonna.
Oh,
was that you, Abe?
that was Abe.
Yeah.
Not bad.
It wasn't bad.
Not bad compared
A
to
for effort.
I didn't want to do it too loud. Like I'm trying to be quiet.
You know what a British rooster says?
What?
Cock.
That's KOK too.
Yeah.
All right. So this is Querétaro's lineup announcement.
Last week.
Francisco Venegas.
That's what I. That's dude, your dog.
Omar Mendoza.
Like they're having fun with it.
Yeah.
I think they're more bought in than the
Soy Jonathan Perlaza.
Play another one. Play another one.
One more. Come on. Where is it?
Kevin Escamilla.
Oh, that was a
That was
very
whack.
very.
He bailed halfway through.
Yeah. I like the guy that laughed with it at the end. Like it's funny. It's supposed to be funny, and I mean, it's getting the notice on social media. People are saying like this is just more.
That one was. Come on.
Francisco Venegas.
We got Francisco. Just clap.
Kevin Escamilla.
Enjoying life.
Samuel Sosa.
Oh, hands, arms.
That's like his
arms.
Arrested Development style.
Alan
You need to
Medina.
do Chuck.
Kikiriki.
That guy. That dude just said it. Like he read on he had a cue card. He couldn't remember it.
Right. For the uninitiated,
It's like, what's my name?
Alan Medina. Kikiriki.
yeah.
I think I did my rooster sound in English.
Yeah, you did.
Well, yeah. I mean, if I ask you, what does a baby bird sound like in English?
Chirp, chirp, motherfucker.
Okay, Drew.
Sorry.
Drew, what does a bird sound like in Spanish? It's gonna be. We're all the three of us gonna have the same answer.
Beep beep.
Very close.
Pio pio.
Pio,
Pio,
pio.
pio, yeah.
Pio pio.
Yeah. Pio, pio. Animal sounds. We have divulged into animal sounds.
Shit.
It's a children's podcast.
So I mean, what's eating El Chucky Lozano? What would San Diego do? I mean, they don't have a mascot, which is fine, thank goodness. But like,
Los pollos.
look, hey,
Oh,
hey,
tranquilo,
that's
viejo.
Landon's territory. Just,
But I think the Arrested
is
Development.
was that La Migra, Abe?
Yeah.
That was just the police sound. I mean, Chrome and Blue. That
It's a
sounds
son of the police.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, Pio Pio Esteban, and see Esteban is just a different Spanish too, and his is also Pio Pio.
Pio pio.
Um,
El
it's
pollito
just-
pio. El pollito pio.
I think
Yeah.
the Portuguese is Pio Pio, right? Too.
Yes,
I think they also do
yes,
Pio
it
Pio.
is Pio Pio. I think somebody did in the Euros and pissed somebody off with it. They got called the chicken Pepe, maybe.
Maybe Pepe. I
Yeah,
know
Pepe's
that's
a-
what they do with
Pew, pew.
Richarlison when he scores. Pew, pew.
But he's more of a pigeon.
Can't wait.
He's the
I
pigeon.
can't wait for
I
them to
can't
do
do
it
that.
for
I can't do a
Chivas.
pigeon noise.
Oh fuck! What's wrong with that pigeon?
What was that pigeon sound?
That's not.
Do a pigeon sound, Tony.
Talk about a hawk Tua
Well, we
Oh my god.
bird. Got it. I'm
Do,
here
a,
all.
do a pigeon sound, Tony.
a Tony Hawk
There you
too.
go. That was
Yeah.
really good.
Shout out Carl.
I think the wave can do one. They should
Thank
just
you, Carl.
all do a wave sound. Can you guys do a wave sound?
So yeah, like
That's
Like
more like a
mine's-
wind.
No, that's pretty good. I
What-
was at the beach yesterday. That's what it sounds
What
like.
help? What? Yeah, no, that it also helps create. Yeah, no, like you guys is low tide.
Low tide.
Low tide. Entering the 2 balls in the mic. Low tide.
I'm with the high tide, man.
You want to get the high tide?
Yeah. We could talk about that on Codcast, our fish podcast. Coming up right after a broadcast.
Oh my gosh.
It's the dumbest, and this is why I like this.
Misa
this
Drew
community. I love it. I love it.
But let's talk about San Diego. Let's talk
about the real great of San Diego, right?
Right.
I mean, if that was what segue that you wanted after bird calling and all that, that's the most respectful way to go ahead and lead
Guys,
into.
Joe Corona had an assist in that game, which is why he was the great of the week.
Whoa, whoa.
He's got
that dog in
a
him.
great assist in that start. So it's first assist of the season, which is why Joe Corona won the great of the week.
Great of the week, but the superlative is meaningless unless we do recognize the greatness of a certain group that has graced San Diego. And you, Drew, was the only reason we flew you out here is to talk about.
Yep.
Flew him out here.
Yeah, no, 100%.
First class.
Company
First
card.
class. Is to talk about Bridge Barkada. And Bridge Barkada, I mean, you want to stay? You let me know. You're part of the show. You can. I'm gonna let you
Nah,
decide.
you guys can talk.
Yeah,
Anyway, I love you.
Do you guys want to do a
wrap
seal
up in
sound
4
for
minutes.
Esteban
To
here?
hit my prediction. I've
we
got a
have
lot of money on this.
Do a
Wrapping
seal
up in an
sound,
hour
Abe.
57.
Go ahead, do a seal sound.
This is
I'm
where
not doing
I
a seal
can't,
sound.
I can't be allowed in public because my seal sound is very topical, and I'm one of the 3 seals that was found on the beach today.
Oh,
Very depressing. If you know the news, you know it's very depressing.
yeah.
Leave the
Navy
seals alone.
like Jocko.
Oh, Jocko.
We're not talking about that. But let's talk about Bridge Barkada.
Bridge Barkada, the anti-Jocko.
Bye, Abe. See you in a bit.
Bye. He's like, I don't want to talk about this.
But yeah, Bridge Barkada, man. So it's been a movement. You guys have been awesome for years. I think anybody listening to the show for a number of years would know that you guys are great friends with Bridge Barkada. In fact, the first time you told me about the show and that you were doing this show was actually just outside the courts of Barrio Logan's Chicano Park. So yeah, this is a ride we've been on since 2018 when I used to live here, which was only a year or so ago. But since time has passed on, we all kind of have different plots of life. We started this when not a lot of us, I think one of us had a kid at that point.
Yeah.
And then now all of us have kids. I've got one on the way, hopefully. So yeah, we'll see. This just in.
Papa Stack?
Papa Chicho?
Papa Topollillo? What the fuck? The great announcement. Transfer news from womb to non-womb.
Hopefully coming in September when the window closes.
Here we go.
The transfer window.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you,
I
man.
haven't told you in person, but congratulations.
Congrats.
Appreciate it,
I'm really
guys.
happy about that.
So yeah, it's exciting. It's just that we all know that we're not going to have the time to continue to do what we've put in and the energy we put in. And, it's a great group of guys and they've all had a place in kind of getting us where we are today. When we started this in 2018 was a Facebook post from Carl and a small group of people that were just, kind of fed up with, frustrated with what's going on with soccer nationally, internationally. We felt like a lot of moneyed interests were telling us how to play and are kind of just trying to own the game, right?
Yeah.
Totally different today. I mean, nobody feels like that anymore. So we really accomplished a mission of making sure nobody ever feels like that again, which wasn't the mission in the first place. The mission was to play anywhere and everywhere, and play for free and try and get as many people as we know to play with us. And one of the things we found that was really cool was just playing on concrete, we originally, Carl saw this area that used to be a skate park under the 15 overpass. You're seeing the images there. we started playing under there. We kind of cleaned it out with brims and stuff. Sometimes there'd be homeless people, sometimes not. But it was just, we were trying to like claim the space, and there was about a new stadium to be built there yet. It had not been built, but we thought, hey, we can carve out this niche. When the new stadium is built, it can be a place where soccer is already here. We've already kind of put the soul of soccer in this place. That area also floods a lot because it's a floodplain underneath 100%. The freeway. So there's a lot of long-term issues with playing there under the freeway that you can see. And so one of the times that it flooded, we headed down to Chicano Park because Carl had driven by the basketball courts a number of times. I had as well, and been like, yeah, sometimes I see people playing basketball. A lot of times they're just sitting there. Yeah. Like people aren't doing stuff. And there's even the mural with the soccer player behind it. And lo and behold, a few of the players that had joined up, Paul Naco, obviously I'll talk about in a second, but Daryl, specifically Daryl Biggs, who also helped found the locals and kind of just been a huge person, supporters in soccer culture in San Diego for a long time. He had already said that he actually proposed to Chicano Park at some point at a steering committee meeting, you should have a futsal court here. Yeah. And they were like, get out of here, white guy. What are you doing?
And soccer.
Part of it is modeling what you want to see, right? So it's by showing up, by actually putting down goals and playing pretty much every Friday or Saturday for a number of years there. Pre-COVID, then post-COVID, it all kind of changed a bit. But after COVID, one of the cool things we saw was all the kids that came out to our stuff early on, who maybe were younger 20s or late teens, started their own groups. As they got more into their mid 20s, they were owning space in Chicano futsal and all these different groups now that have spread out of that scene. That's pretty cool in terms of going to a place and seeing the change that you wanted to have there. So it's one of those things where everybody's dreams just kind of came together and made sense. And again, I'd say Carl was definitely like the vision of all of this. Had kind of the idea before it became a thing. Paul obviously was the heart and the style, I'd say, to a lot of it. He did a great job of kind of always bringing just a really positive energy and idea of how to present this, but still keeping it kind of street and making sure that it's of the people and kind of rough around the edges, but perfectly something that people wanted to be a part of because it looked cool. It looked awesome, and people wanted to play with us because Paul made us look cool. So it's a huge part of it, and promoting and keeping it going, and again, kind of the engine of the train there. And then you've got, again, Daryl, who had a lot of wisdom, I think, in terms of just how to play and why we're doing this and what it means. And then you have Brandon Rodriguez was kind of the other fifth member, and he's somebody who came on a little bit later than the original, I think, 3 or 4 of us. He was probably the late, like 4th or 5th pickup that he really started getting in. It was like super in, like, hey, I want to host and help as well. And we were like, yeah. So it's I'd say his positivity, generally just his vibes and play style when he was playing with people was created a culture that we all wanted to feed into of, hey, let's keep this fun. Let's make this a thing where there's no fights, there's no animosity. And you can see it easily when there is more competitive games. And that's why we almost try to like pull out the competition out of it, right? Where it's just supposed to be fun. And for people who are uninitiated, what we do is we go and we play on a basketball sized court, in this case on directly basketball courts. And we play about 5-minute games, and then we've kind of had different fashions of this over the years, but usually 2 goals. If one team scores 2 goals, game is over, and then you move on, either staying on what they call the King's courts. You have 2 courts or 3 courts. You move up sequentially, kind of promotion, relegation. Sometimes if you lose, you just lose out. And then you get a lineup of people, and then people just jump in. You can form new teams. You can jump in. A lot of people get an injury. Some people just get tired. You can kind of change up teams and change people out. You're not committed to too much. And again, you're committed to a 5-minute game. So, hey, I'm tired. Okay, I'm going to go rest over there for 20 minutes.
We'll go sit
and
on
I can
the
get back
bench.
in. So it's really inviting because it's all the things people dislike about like jumping back into soccer who either haven't done it in a while. And I think soccer is just such a hard thing to play full field soccer all the time. It's really a lot of running for a lot of people. And I would love to be that athletic all the time. But I think a lot of us struggle with it a bit. So for me, and I'd say a lot of other people, this was an easy gateway back into playing, and really just made it a really cool place for anybody to come out. So we'd have 5-year-olds, kids playing with us with, full adults, and then having 60, something year olds or people from the neighborhood who would sometimes like just walk in and jump in a few games and, keep walking down the street.
You guys created something special. I mean, you guys created Organized Retas, which is, something that people have their group chats and they're like, hey, let's go. I mean, when I was growing up in Chula Vista, we had Feaster at 8. We'd go to Feaster Charter School in the parking lot, and people would go play from when we were in middle school all the way up to after high school. Feaster at 4, we're younger. Feaster at 5, Feaster at 6. And then we're like Feaster at 8, Feaster at 8, Feaster at 9. The lights would turn on and people we'd play earlier, and then older people would go in and play at 9, 10 p.m. and stay up till midnight there.
Right.
So I mean, you guys kind of gave that organized aspect to it and then build a community out of it, which is why it's amazing.
Right. And the framework was always like, it shouldn't cost anybody anything. Like it should always be free. It should always be available. It should always be there in terms of skill level. You should be okay with, and you should know, okay, this is the more intense time. Maybe don't play with these guys. They're a little bit more intense. Or, hey, these people, and that's what we tried to create, was just an atmosphere where even if you're somebody who really sucks and this is literally your first time kicking a ball, we'll try and make it fun for you because we don't want it to suck. We want it to be fun. And we want you to come back. And we want you, we've seen so many people who just started playing with us and would come back, and by week 10, hey, they're putting together passes and they know how to play. And it made it because you get more touches when you're playing this way, where it's shorter courts and you screw up. All right, well, you're a goldfish. You get back in there, Ted Lasso style, and keep swimming. So I really have always loved, just keep swimming over there, Dory.
And just thinking about what you said, right? You had kids who were 5 years old when you started, and it's crazy because those kids are now older. And yesterday we played it with Dyer's kid.
Yeah, Miles Dwyer.
Dyer.
Dwyer.
Andrew's kid.
Dyer. It's Dyer.
He's a full-fledged soccer player. He plays varsity for Olympic View
and up and too. And so I think 100%. He's kind of risen from somebody who just, you saw the passion at an early age, was there to play with adults and never felt like he was put out, but knew that he could do that, and probably helped give him the confidence, hopefully, to do that out there with other kids and say, hey, this big kid's not that scary. Who played with Drew on the fucking court, so who's knocking me around here,
big old Drew.
Yeah, so it's I'm probably okay with this. So it's
and his pops getting into it now. That's
the thing is, you can get everybody out there playing, and people who maybe thought they wouldn't play. And Andrew's expressed that to me too before when he first came out. Was I didn't think I would ever play, and this is awesome. A really cool play to get back into it. So it's cool to have people like that who just really have sprung up out of this and really been connected as, through one way or another. And all teams, all people, I'd say the Soccers, again, shout out Soccers, were always the best about sending athletes and just being people who'd show up, like Craig Charles and Forrest Bar would just show up. We weren't like, hey, we're having celebrity guests. And sometimes we would, but they would just show up and we're like, hey, we're having a Friday. And they're like, hey, we're going to come to Friday. It's okay. So they were awesome. And then obviously every other team touched it at some point. In terms of people or, organization, even teams that almost didn't exist, like the early 1904.
Yeah, they were there.
They were there, and then they went away, and then they came back. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's been something that through all these phases of San Diego soccer, where it feels like we've lived 20 years in the last 6 years.
Yes,
all of it was kind of in this, and so the journey we're saying is kind of over. It's like a band saying this was our farewell tour essentially for this pickup. The reason we did it is because we finally got, thanks to San Diego Wave, and again, something that didn't exist in 2018 was a glimmer in the eye if anyone was a women's pro soccer team, especially one that could help fund, goals to the tune of doing it now in 2 different parks. This is, and obviously they have more to come and more things that I know Shannon really would love to do with that organization. But we helped pave the way by really making sure that there was a space for this in the park. The steering committee, to their credit, and again, Chicano Futsal has been huge at having a consistent presence there to make sure that they were always at the steering committee meetings, and then really talking to them. For people who don't know, it's a sacred land to Chicano people, right? In some ways, in terms of the park and the way it's viewed, of this is a place that they've tried to save and hold for their culture, and so they just don't, like any other park, say oh, we want to put a court here, cool, okay, talk to the Parks and Rec Commission. It's very different. You can talk to the Parks and Rec Commission. They say go talk to the steering committee and go talk to the people who started the park through a protest and holding the land, to make sure that it was held for their people and always a space for their people, and found that this was a thing that they wanted to have there, again, through having the community come out and paying back our faith in this idea. And it's been really cool to see, and it's pretty neat to see that now these goals will be there. When I showed up, we played around 3ish. I showed up around 2:30. I was the first person there, and there was 3 kids there, and they already had the goals up, and they were just kicking around on the court. And that's what we wanted. That's what we started this for, and we felt like this is kind of, now that we're all transitioning in life, in a place where this was a fun time to say goodbye to this idea. Maybe we'll do reunion tours like a band. We'll come back and do another one. But I think for a while there's different ideas. I mean, my thing is just carry it forward. I think a lot of people can take that idea. It's a free idea. Just do it. I think holding pickups does take balls.
Yeah.
2 balls. And I do mean literally balls.
At least.
You have to have balls for people to kick, but also it is uncomfortable. You put yourself out there. You have to like post and get like, hey, are my friends actually going to show up to this thing? And like, try and get 4 or 5 friends, and then you're planting the seed and then hoping other people join you and jump on this adventure. And if you get it, it's a critical mass sometimes. Where it was crazy, we started this with like, we'd be begging to get like 6 to 8 people to play, and we loved it, even if it was like 6 people or 7 people. And then 1 or 2 days, I'd say probably the second or third time at Chicana Park, we got like 45 or 50 people. We were just like, holy shit. Like, we tapped into something. The people were here. We just,
took some
as
water
you said,
bottles.
organized it. Right. We organized and we gave a space, and we said, like, we don't care. Like, yeah, here's some water. Here's whatever. Like, here's, bibs, like jump on a team and that kind of stuff. And just made it a little bit easier for people to glide in who are either not from the area or are from the area. And I think that's a beautiful thing that anybody can do. It's not a magical concept. Nothing here was like, oh, this brilliant, idea, except for the fact that it was all very earnest. And again, like done with a lot of love. And so we just want to say, hey, we love this thing, but we're willing to say that we don't want to feel like it's been let go. So we just want to say that, hey, we feel like we accomplished what we wanted to.
Just looking at just like the intertwinedness of our history, right? You guys have been doing it longer, but like literally our first ever interview was at Barkada. Like phone mics and everything. Shout out Mario.
Stickers.
Nice.
It's just the reality of just the soccer community coming down to this place, and the fact that you were part of that team that brought this as a possibility to just really be able to get down there. The first time we went, we took water, so we're like, yeah, that's what we do. Like that's what my dad used to do. Like this and this. I was just trying to think of like just like little one-liners of like what makes soccer in San Diego. What's the feeling of San Diego that like of soccer that like really just endears you to a person. And I was talking about like, just the feeling of being excited to tell your widow friend a hangover recipe after you both watch a crazy soccer match the night before, and being excited to be like, I know, we get a spot for you. Like that excitement. And I got another one of those where I'm like, that feeling when you're walking by or just standing somewhere and there's somebody else playing soccer that you don't know, but the ball rolls your way, and the excitement you feel to kick it back. And hopefully they say, hey, you want to play? Like that. There's no better feeling than that in soccer. And that's what it's all about. And that's what it's always been about. Like, sure, we're very transparent about what our reasons are for having a podcast, but like at the end of the day, like that is what fulfills me, is soccer wise and just community wise. And this is what really made me fall in love with the community in general, is the fact that I couldn't believe that there's other people who are so genuine to the sport that just want to see the game respected and represented so well. And I'm just very honored and privileged to have, just come across every single one of you guys. And I hope that you realize, and I know you realize, like what an impact you've left in soccer in San Diego. And I know Paul knows that too. My favorite picture that I took that day, and I airdropped it to Steve actually by accident because his name popped up
Scuba
next
Steve.
to Paul's. But I airdropped a picture of the moment Paul's kid came next to him, and he just puts his arm around him in front of the goal, and just knowing what it takes for that, the pickups, the amount of time, the anguish, because it's true. And all for what? For nothing. You do it for nothing, because you don't expect that thank you. You just expect, I'm just here to play a game. Even if I don't play, Paul would be there. He'll set up the games. He'll take his bibs. He'll take the block rocker.
Yeah.
And
that's what it was about. That was what I'd say, like, just kept it alive, was one of us saying, okay, I got this Friday, I got this Saturday or whatever. And that's like, again, but you'd show up, and sometimes none of the rest of us would be there. So it's not like the 5 of us were there every time. It was like, okay, well, Drew's got it, and like Paul maybe will make it, but maybe he'll make it later because he's got work till 6. And so like, and then you'd show up, and then like there would sometimes be 30 people or like 60 people or like whatever.
Show up in jeans after work to play.
Right, exactly.
Through the pandemic, we'd have a very, very unsafe warehouse where the hangar was, hangar 1.0.
Awesome. Yeah.
And Bridge Barkada would just
RIP.
go over there. Yeah, that was a very dangerous building.
Painting tifos in there was also fun, but
that was great.
Yeah, but it's not safe. A lot of things falling off the ceiling. I think it used to be a grow house.
Probably. I always wanted to
told
think about
that
it. Yeah,
by
I
someone.
can.
I want to
I
show
can
you
see
guys
that.
something.
Yeah.
Yes, guys.
What's going on? What's
Look at
happening?
this.
You also want to give us the ST Loyal local support number?
Yeah, so I'm number 2. The reason I'm number 2 is
Conversations with your,
setting up a
with your
website and opening it up for people to sign up. Well, Steve signed up, so
You've always been a great number 2.
I'm in number 2.
You want to tell
not
us
bitter
a,
about it at all.
We're so drunk that day.
a little
It was
bit of an
great.
explanation
Oh,
of
yeah.
how
It
this all
was
came
a
about?
lot of work
So,
to get
so the
that.
whole supporters group came about because people really wanted to have a supporters group around our new team, and so when that started coming up, people thought, "Hey, let's put one together." Really, a few different people got together in meetings and things like that, and I started attending those meetings. From
A few
there, I
people
kept
got
getting
together in
sucked
meetings.
into saying, "Hey, I'm good at this. I can do that. I can do this." And then from there, it became an organizational thing. I know how to build it.
Oh man.
Yeah, but here's my thing is like, so I think Bridge Barkada is like, to put a punctuation on this and probably this episode, is that you guys talked a lot about like how is American soccer flailing, what are they doing with the coaching search. I think a lot of this is, to me, like, we found through this, and again, it's not a magical idea. It's a very simple idea, which is get people playing together in their communities. And if you can do that, you'll identify people who are special in those communities. And one of the things I truly believe is that if we had Messi in our country, we would not know who he was, because he comes from a poor family that would not have access to MLS academies. And whatever Right to Dream wants to say, they might uncover him, right? But it's a lottery pick. It's
Or
not
her.
or her, right? But it's or them.
Very true.
But I would say that it's a lottery pick. It's a thing that's not going to necessarily happen, out of analytics and, screening kids and, and having a mass funnel. That's never going to work. You're going to need the grassroots ground up stuff to make that happen. And I think that the more we divest, and I wouldn't say you have to completely give up on MLS, but like, we've invested so much of our conversation and time and interest around it. Obviously, not a great place, knowing that the city is about to devolve into MLS madness over the next 9 months, and like we're all going there. Like it's a a thing that's happening, but at the same time, trying to put more into just what you can control, what you actually can have equity in, what you can have a stake in. I think that's the way forward, because you can combine that with, let's say, national direction, as you're saying, a European direction, but somebody to say, here's how we play, here's our playing style, right? Here's how we develop center backs, or here's what we do, because we could do that very well here. We have tall, large people who move pretty decently, but we just have to teach them how to do it, right? And I think a lot of that's the kind of stuff we just don't do that we could do, and that's kind of the mission statement I'd say on all of this, is like, if we do more of this together, and I'm just speaking to anybody who's listening, like, you can do it, anybody here can do it, and they can really make a difference in how they feel positive about this, because I think it's really easy to feel like dismayed and just like that none of it matters, right? Because ultimately somebody else will own it, and that's where, again, put it out there. You won't, as Tony said, ever sometimes get the thank you, but you'll know that whatever is there, you help do, and that's what's cool about it.
The message. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it, man. And again, like, that's something that's incredibly beautiful.
Don't use your gifts for grifts.
Oh, okay. Don't get goated.
I was gonna say, the goat. Like, I'm the goat of this show in San Diego Punta Football. That should be my title here. It says goat, and I don't mean good goat. I mean the scapegoat.
Oh, I mean, somebody has to do it. I'm sorry.
Scapegoat.
Sorry, Drew. I know the office is listening to this interview incredibly intently. But no, I mean, I think that's a great
right. And this has nothing to do with, honestly, MLS. I'm just saying, generally, ultimately, you won't have that as what you put into that emotionally is not what you'll ever get out of it. I just don't believe that that's true, due to the fact that it will always, they control the terms to everything, right? They control the terms of how you view X or Y, and how you're going to have access to that. All of that is determined, and even sometimes not by your local people, but by some organizing body. So like, it's just it's harder the higher you go. And this is true of any league in the world. Premier League struggling with their grassroots fans in the same way, but it's one of those things where the more you do things like this, the more that it really refills your well, I think, in caring for the sport, especially when you feel like, why does this matter? Why does anybody care? And it really connects people, and it makes people, really find that love in each other.
It's a holistic way of seeing
it. Puts the beautiful in the beautiful game, because
I love that.
Without that, it's not really a beautiful game. It's just a game.
Yep. I really appreciate that. And thank you again for flying out. One last question before we end this
You're welcome.
episode.
I came out just for this.
We flew you out.
I'm going to leave before Wednesday. I'm not having pizza with anybody, sorry, guys.
Yeah, no, 100% pizza bros. How big is your suitcase on the flyback?
It's got a lot of. It's pretty big.
Do you have space?
I have space. I have 8 pounds based on my weigh in.
Okay.
It's like a fight. It's like a fight when you go to the airport, and they take your luggage and they're like weighing in at 43 pounds.
So I don't know how if you want to take it, if I'll mail it. I've been waiting for you to come back to San Diego for this.
Oh wait.
There's nobody else that really lived San Diego loyal like you did. And so I think that at the end of the day,
And died
100% and died and got stabbed like Jon Snow style. Like everybody was Ollie at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
at the end of the match, we were privy to a couple of things. One of those was getting.
I have no idea what's coming, guys.
You don't. You really don't.
Yeah, that's great.
Getting the last ball that was kicked officially for San Diego Loyal. Go ahead and take that home if you can. That's the last ball that was kicked at Torero Stadium for San Diego Loyal.
Wow. Is there any verification to this?
No.
Okay.
Just take my word for it. I mean, the one over there
you.
is the one that Coach Beto got us.
Oh. Yeah,
So,
I trust you guys.
That's the last ball that was kicked at Torero Stadium.
It is. He
It's
tracked
kind of
it.
deflated, kind of like
He
how it
tracked
felt.
it down. Tony tracked it
This is
down
so
and
cool.
kept it.
Yeah.
Never told anyone.
I have my own mic now.
100%. But again, I don't know anybody who deserves it more, man. And like that would cherish that as much as
Thank you, man.
as we would. But like that's something.
And I'll say
that-
this: I know a number of people, and I also had access to balls through my taking down and putting up the banners sometimes for the locals. And I never actually smuggled one, but many were smuggled, and I never thought about it, and I did regret it.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate.
Tony smuggled
this.
like 3.
Yeah.
all were allowed, Mr. Vasiliadis.
And then I was at the soccer game, and they were like getting rid of their old balls. Like, here's a bunch of balls.
No.
'cause we're getting rid of them.
We're gonna say that we took one that first ever game at Torero.
Fuck, dude. What the fuck? Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
But
Put it in
no,
the back.
that's
I was
that's
always
great.
impressed with like, oh, that's what a real $110 ball feels like.
Yes.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah.
They were so
100
hard.
150.
They were hard.
115.
Once fully inflated. So
Yep.
if that's how Baby Stack's gonna learn their first steps in the soccer world with that ball, then so be it.
They can't choke on it, so that's good.
They
Yeah,
cannot.
yes.
They could
Yeah.
just
Yep.
get concussed by it. So no headers until until later. But all
Ball
right.
to mouth.
Ball to
Ball to
mouth.
mouth.
That's the new iteration. But at the end of the day, it's been a great journey. Thank you for being part
Thanks,
of it.
guys.
I hope that you
I
can
feel like I'm
deflate that and feel
dying.
that. I mean,
Well, loyal, dude.
you joined the club, literally the club. With that,
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys. I love you guys.
enjoy your flight back to wherever the fuck.
Somewhere
Hey,
in the middle of the world.
you guys can smoke e-cigarettes at Lambeau Field. now.
Lago de Michigan.
Oh,
Yeah.
shout out to
Michigan the Italiano.
shout out to the cheese out there in Wisconsin.
Yeah. That's
So,
the one.
That's as much as you'll get
On a
doxed.
creek. I live on a creek.
Good luck finding a creek in Wisconsin. All right, 2 balls in the mic. Episode, whatever it is, 233. We're
Creek
on a
cast coming next week.
roll. Drew's Creek, like Dawson's Creek.
Drew's Creek.
Yeah, hell yeah.
We can make that a segment.
That would actually be really cool.
It'd be like a
That would be
dramatic,
cool.
like teenage retelling of. Yeah.
For Drew Stack, Alejandro El Chiva Villaseñor, and Abraham El Abe Cepeda. 2 balls in the mic. Have a good night. Enjoy your day.
Good night, everyone.
Cool clip.